Swisher blunts and I ain't never coming down. Bitch, you ain't no Barbie. I see you work at Arby's. Never too supersized. Hurry up, I'm starving. Gnarly, radical. On the block, I'm magical. See me at your college campus, baggy full of Adderalls. Call me if you need a fix. Tell me if you need a boost. See them other chicken heads, they don't ever leave the coop. I'm in the coop cruising. I got the stolen plates, serving all the fiends over there by the Golden Gate. Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis. Fendi, Fendi, Prada, Fendi, Fendi, Prada, Fendi, Fendi, Prada, Fendi, Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Fendi, Fendi, Prada, Fendi, Fendi, Prada, Fendi, Fendi, Prada, Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Fendi, Fendi, Prada. Them basic bitches wear that shit, so I don't even bother. Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Fendi, Fendi, Prada. Them basic bitches wear that shit, so I don't even bother. I put that on my partner, I put that on my family. Oakland City represent, address me as your majesty. Yeah, you can kiss a ring, but you can never touch a crown. I smoke a million Swisher blunts and I ain't never coming down.
Do you agree that there's no such thing as racism, sexism, homophobism, Islamophobism, deadbeat-dadism, white supremacism, and all the other isms? Destiny, that's a woman's name. You were raised by your daddy and mama. That makes you half man and half woman. You are a beta. You're not a real man, beta. I just have one question for ya, beta. There's just one thing I want to know. Destiny, do you love all people? Do you really love the blacks? Destiny, do you love black people? Why can't you just answer the question? Destiny, do you love all people?
Systems, the company store, the paradigm of absolute control. And that's why we're just out here doing simple things, pointing out that we're meant to be in nature and be natural. And this is where we find the source that God made to transcend the New World Order. And that's why they want to try to keep us out of it.
I'm angry. I've had enough of these people. They're a bunch of Christian murderous scum. They're on giant death factories keeping babies alive and selling their body parts. What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face these scum. They literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green looking skin and they run around screaming, we love Satan, we wanna eat babies. I have them on video. Hillary's in the creepy, weird, sick stuff, man. She sleeps in the same room with that creepy, weird woman whose mother wears a hood over her head. What the hell? That woman number one is ugly. Imagine how bad she smells, man. I'm told her and Obama just stink. Obama and Hillary both smell like sulfur. Literal vampire pot and the goblins are hobbling round coming after us. My spirit gets close to that evil and I feel it go. We're such self-centered crap. We don't even notice hell itself rising up against us. Millions of pointed people of the very worst type, and I'm so pissed. We're gonna stab your daughter at the mall. We're gonna stab your wife, your son. We're gonna stab you with a butcher knife, and then the police chief is gonna say, we love our Somalis, we love our Muslims. Oh, they're so good, oh, they're so sweet.
I was watching Fox News as I worked out this morning.
Whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house.
I said certified freak. 7 days a week. Wet ass P word. Make that pullout game weak. Yeah, you effin' with some wet ass P word. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass P word. Give me everything you've got for this wet ass P word. Beat it up, N word, catch a charge. Extra large and extra hard. Put this P word right in your face. Swipe your nose like a credit card. Hop on top, I wanna ride. I do a kegel while it's inside. Spit in my mouth, look in my eyes. This P word is wet, come take a dive. And continue along these lines. And it gets significantly more vulgar. Like, a lot more vulgar.
I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. My children aren't going hungry. I'll do it. I'll drink your blood. And I'm starting to think about having to eat my neighbors. You think I like sizing up? I'm gonna haul him up by chain. Chop his ass up, size it up. I'm gonna haul him up by chain. Chop, 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 chop. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. I'll barbecue your ass flat. I will cook your ass up so fast, and I'll tell them, oh, I killed a cow out back, baby. You think Christ would eat somebody? He would never do that. I will. I'm ready to hang them up, gut them and skin them and chop them up. You know what? I'm ready. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. And that's why I want the globalists to know. I will eat your ass first. I swear to God, if it's the last thing I do, I'm gonna get my hands around your throat.
What rolls downstairs, a loner in pairs, rolls over your neighbor's dog? What's great for a snack and fits on your back? It's long, long, long. It's long, long. It's big, it's heavy, it's wood. It's long, long. It's better than that, it's good. Everyone wants a long. You're gonna love it long. Come on and get your long. Everyone needs a long.
Log from Blammo.
Bringing you
It's another Be Weird broadcast. Let's go! How's it going, chat? How you doing? How's it going? Wow, it is happening. We got ourselves another great stream ready for you today. I hope you're doing fine. I want to blow your mind. Let's go. It is Thursday. This week is ripped past. 13th of October. We narrowly missed a very scary Friday the 13th in October by the skin of our teeth. It is a weirdly warm day. It's like 17 degrees outside, everybody. And I do believe over time announcing the weather is going to get increasingly weird. It's not global warming, it's global weirding, as it's been said. So yeah, it's gorgeous out for some reason in October. Cloudy but warm. So we might go get some exposure, touch grass. But right now it's early. I wanted to start earlier, but dang man, I was up at 2 this morning. 2:30. Who's awake at 2:30 or 3? It's like the worst hour to be awake. So I've had a bit of a chaotic stream, a chaotic day. We'll see how well I do for today's stream. We got crazy good news, absolutely insane news to cover. So it's going to be really entertaining, especially the Alex Jones stuff. Alex Jones and some more Trump news. Trump absolutely looks like he's about to get roasted. We're going to get some really good TV out of it. Do people publicize depositions? I don't know. But hey, you're here. I'm here. I hope you're caffeinated. Got me some coffee. My allergies are freaking out. It's all good. It's all good, everybody. Alex Jones got his comeuppance, and has to pay apparently almost $1 billion. $1 billion in damages. I cannot wait. I'm surprised I haven't been streaming it more often. There's been a bunch of courtroom drama on the Law and Crime Network. So if it's really juicy, we might do some backstory, go back, check out what just happened, and then just keep moving back and moving back. That could be a lot of fun. It's Alex Jones, everybody. Like, what a wild, kooky person, and he's finally getting the comeuppance he deserves. Like, man, horrible human being. And now the courts are gonna, make him pay. It's great. You love to see it. So we're gonna check that out. That's the big story. There's a couple other pieces. A lot of odd January 6th stuff. A lot of strange politics happening. It is October in America. So the midterms are coming up. October surprises are dropping. Herschel Walker is still clowning. It's a great day for news. Oh, geez. I missed the Tulsi Gabbard thing, so we might check that out, actually, before I forget. And also, in international news, reporting from Democracy Now!, we might watch this in full. A massive leak of military documents reveals that Mexico armed cartels and surveilled journalists and Zapatistas. So, yeah, there's like a really big story coming out of Mexico right now. So we're going to take a look into that. It doesn't look like it's very long either. It is a 10-minute segment. So yeah, this is all looking pretty solid. Excuse me. my allergies are not doing so fine. But hey, how are you doing? Do you get allergies, man? Okay, we're gonna get to our first story coming on up. I think we're just gonna dive right into the Alex Jones thing. Let's see here. There's developments in Iran and some pretty crazy Trump news that we'll get to. But I'm pretty sure we're gonna start with the Alex Jones. I'm moving that to the top of the list. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's head on over, take a look at this ridiculous story. We'll make the jellies a little smaller. Alrighty.
We begin tonight with the stunning verdict against Alex Jones, the conspiracy theorist who claimed Newtown was a hoax. The parents of the children killed were paid actors. Tonight, he's now been ordered by a Connecticut jury to pay $965 million in damages to several families who suffered from his false claims, his lies, and threats from those who listened to Jones. 20 first graders and 6 teachers and staff were killed at Sandy Hook Elementary. Their young faces just 6 and 7 years old.
Every time, man.
Still so moving nearly 10 years later now. Jones took the stand in the case and made news when he said he was done apologizing. The judge had already found him liable for defamation. It was the jury in charge of determining the damages. And today we witnessed the tearful scene in court. After years of lies and threats, family members openly weeping. So the question tonight, will those families see any of this money? ABC's Eva Pilgrim leading us off.
Tonight, a Connecticut jury punishing Alex Jones for years of lies with a staggering verdict, ordering the conspiracy theorist to pay nearly $1 billion in damages to the families of Sandy Hook victims.
Get him!
As the verdict was read, some of them in the courtroom, like Robbie Parker, weeping.
What we were able to accomplish was just
simply
tell the truth. And it shouldn't be this hard, and it shouldn't be this scary. But while the truth was being said in the courtroom, he was standing right here lying.
Lawyers for the family showing how just hours after the massacre that left 20 first graders and 6 staffers dead, the InfoWars host claimed it was all a hoax, and the grieving parents, actors, Jones mocking them on
absolutely
his show.
Wild, insane. Why would you do that?
Acting training where he's laughing and joking, and they say, "Hey, we're live." And he goes, "Oh."
In gut-wrenching detail, 8 families and an FBI agent recounting nearly 10 years of abuse, death threats from Jones's followers. Parker, who lost his 6-year-old daughter Emily, testifying about how he was verbally attacked by a man on the street.
And he had so much venom and so much hatred.
For real.
He thought that I was.
Even as the Parker family prepared to lay Emily to rest, they worried about the threats. Mom Alyssa hiding in a closet near the coffin.
What if someone came into her funeral? What if people started yelling or protesting and came inside? Like, every little thing we did, I was paranoid.
In the courtroom, Alex Jones forced to face those families.
You put a target on his back just like you did every single parent and loved one sitting here.
Damn.
Today's verdict comes just 2
Go
months
after him.
after a Texas jury awarded another Sandy Hook family nearly $50 million in damages. In this trial, Jones was defiant, telling the court
20
he
times.
was done apologizing.
Between this one and the other one, like 50 million to 960 million is, yeah, that's like what, 20 times the amount? Holy cow, what a difference.
Now, I've already apologized to the parents over and over again. Don't apologize to you. Don't apologize to you.
Wow.
Lawyers for the families argue Jones built a lie machine for profit and needs to be stopped.
10 years since these families lost their loved ones. And even now, he's still doing it.
Jones has filed for bankruptcy, claiming he has no money. Last year, he was found liable in
Isn't
4
that convenient?
defamation cases, and lawyers for the family say he has recently moved $62 million out of his accounts to hide his assets.
Assuming this verdict is upheld, he's not going to be able to keep having the everyday items a wealthy person like Alex Jones has. Everything could be subject to this judgment.
It's awesome.
And so as a result,
That's great.
he's going to have to portray himself as totally
a
broke.
like a pauper.
And that's not that easy to do.
Tonight, the families say the verdict sends a clear message.
The truth matters, and those who profit off of other people's pain and trauma will pay for what they have done.
Good.
This has been quite the 10-year journey for all of these families. Eva Pilgrim with us tonight, and we heard there from Dan Abrams, Eva, that he believes the personal wealth of Alex Jones is not protected in this case. And there's yet another defamation case still coming.
Another
That's
one.
right, David.
Wait,
this is
what?
not over for Alex Jones. He's
There's
already
a
been found
third?
liable in these cases, and
Oh,
he will
geez.
soon face a new trial in Texas in a lawsuit brought by the parents of another Sandy Hook victim.
Wow.
Eva Pilgrim leading us off here tonight. Eva, thank you.
Dang, man. I didn't realize he had another one coming.
Got some breaking news. A verdict has been reached in the defamation.
Yeah, we just found out. Okay, so I thought we'd actually take a look at the moment itself. Here we go. Alex Jones was ordered to pay Sandy Hook victims nearly $1 billion. Oh my God. So yeah, he wasn't in the courtroom, but this is the ruling. Really hard to hear.
Reasonable damages to plaintiff Francine Wheeler and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, total $54 million, initialed by juror number 1. To plaintiff Jacqueline Barden, A, defamation/slander damages, past and future, $10 million. B, emotional distress damages, past and future, $18,800,000. Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff Jacqueline Barden and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $28,800,000, initialed by juror number 1. To plaintiff Mark Barden, A, defamation/slander damages, past and future, $25 million. B, emotional distress damages, past and future, $32,600,000. Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff Mark Barden and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $57,600,000, initialed by juror number 1. To plaintiff Nicole Hockley, A, defamation/slander damages, past and future, $32 million.
Whoa.
B, emotional distress damages, past and future, $41,600,000. Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff Nicole Hockley and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $73,600,000, initialed by plaintiff, initialed by juror number 1.
Wow, absolutely.
To plaintiff Ian Hockley, A, defamation/slander damages, past and future, $38 million. B, emotional distress damages, past and future, $43,600,000. Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff Ian Hockley and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $81,600,000, initialed by juror number 1. To plaintiff Jennifer Hensel,
Get him.
A, defamation/slander damages, past and future, $21 million. B, emotional distress damages, past and future, $31 million. Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff Jennifer Hensel and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $52 million, initialed by juror number 1. To plaintiff Donna Soto, A, defamation/slander.
If I think I understand correctly, each juror has to come to their own accounting of how much they think he is responsible for, and then the judge adds them all together, and that's how we're getting our $950 million, and we're like listening to each juror's like accounting, and that's why we're coming out with all these different numbers.
Damages, past and future, $18 million. B, emotional distress damages, past and future, $30 million. Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff Donna Soto and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems at line A and line B, $48 million, initialed by juror number 1. To plaintiff Carly Soto Parisi, A, defamation / slander damages, past and future, $30 million. B, emotional distress damages, past and future, $36 million. Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff Carly Soto Parisi and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $66 million, initialed by juror number 1. To plaintiff Carlos Matthew Soto, A, defamation / slander damages, past and future, $18,600,000. B, emotional distress damages, past and future, $39 million. Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff Carlos Matthew Soto and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $57,600,000, initialed by juror number 1.
Oh, man.
To plaintiff Jillian Soto Marino, A, defamation / slander damages, past and future, $30 million. B, emotional distress damages, past and future, $38,800,000.
Verdict? This is the damages part. So he's already been found liable. And this is a civil court, so he's not guilty or innocent. He's liable or not. And in this case, he's liable for damages for emotional trauma and slander. And each, if I understand correctly, each juror is like come up to their accounting, and then this person who's reading, I'm not sure who it is. Their voice sounds sped up. It's very, I don't know. The voice is a bit unusual. I don't know who it is, but they're reading off all of the amounts that the jurors thought they were responsible for, and that's what's going to add up. 12 jurors on the bench, they're all hitting 50 million and up, let's say. Actually, it would have to be 50 to 100 million for it to add up to 950 mil. Holy
Total
cow.
fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff Jillian Soto Marino and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $68,800,000, initialed by juror number 1. To plaintiff William Aldenberg, defamation / slander damages, past and future, $45 million. B, emotional distress damages, past and future, $45 million. Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff William Aldenberg and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $90 million, initialed by juror number 1. To plaintiff Erica Lafferty, A, defamation /
Okay, so maybe these are allotments to each specific plaintiff. That might make more sense.
Slander damages, past and future, $18 million. B, emotional distress damages, past and future, $58 million. Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff Erica Lafferty and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $76 million, initialed by juror number 1. To plaintiff William Sherlack, A, defamation / slander damages, past and future, $9 million. B, emotional distress damages, past and future, $27 million. Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff William Sherlack and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $36 million, initialed by juror number 1. Number 2, award of attorney's fees and costs. Instructions, check yes or no. If you check yes, the judge will determine the amount due to the plaintiff for reasonable attorney's fees and costs, and will then award the plaintiffs that amount at a later date. If you check no, the judge will award $1 to the plaintiffs for their attorney's fees and costs. We, the jury, find that the standard charge for the assessment of attorney's fees and costs have been met. Yes, it's checked. Reasonable attorney's fees and costs to be awarded by the judge at a later date. Initialed by juror number 1. And the last page is the four-person juror number 1 signature in the date of 10/12/2022, also initialed by juror number 1.
The verdict may be accepted and recorded.
Okay, this has to be sped up. This has to be sped up.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please listen to your verdict as it has been accepted and recorded. 2 minutes? No, all right. Verdict. We, the jury, have reached our verdict as to damages in this case. We award damages to each plaintiff and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, LLC as follows. Number 1, compensatory damages. Instructions. Fill in both numbers for each plaintiff, then go to section 2. Please enter your damages assessments for each plaintiff on the lines below. To plaintiff Robert Parker, A, defamation / slander damages, past and future, $60 million. B, emotional distress damages, past and future, $60 million.
Whoa.
Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff Robert Parker and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $120 million.
Oh my God.
Initialed by juror number 1.
Does that mean, like, the reason we're getting different numbers is just because of how much of a focus they were on his show? Like, because that's one way of reading it. Yeah, like the relief of finally closing the chapter, even though, like, I got news for you, Punch Drunk. He's going to bankruptcy court to fight this. Alex Jones isn't going down, baby, without a fight. But yeah, like his reaction, he's got the highest amount at 120 million. It just makes me think like he was featured a lot. You know, it's kind of, I didn't watch the whole trial, so I'm just speculating, but that's the feel.
To plaintiff David Wheeler, A, defamation/slander damages, past and future, $25 million. B, emotional distress damages, past and future, $30 million. Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff David Wheeler and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $55 million, initialed by juror number 1. To plaintiff Francine Wheeler, A, defamation/slander damages, past and future, $24 million. B, emotional distress damages, past and future, $30 million. Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff Francine Wheeler and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $54 million, initialed by juror number 1. To plaintiff Jacqueline Barden, A, defamation/slander damages, past and future, $10 million. B, emotional distress damages, past and future, $18,800,000.
So much money was made off this story. I hope the families would be left alone. I mean, from what I understand, it sounds like the judge ordered that his personal money wasn't safe. So even if the company made a bunch of money and he was paying himself, you know, a nice hefty salary of $200K a year, whatever, you know, plus a percentage of sales of merchandise from his wiener pills and fight milk, that his personal money that he would have gained from that is still on the table. And I think that's why, like, the next courtroom battle is in bankruptcy court, where he tries to quickly go bankrupt before he has to pay these people a dime. Like, it's just, I don't know if it's pure cynicism or self-preservation at this point. Like, he's such a, like, demonic figure at this point. I really don't know if the cruelty is the point or not with him.
Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff Jacqueline Barden and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $28,800,000, initialed by juror number 1. To plaintiff Mark Barden, A, defamation/slander damages, past and future, $25 million. B, emotional distress damages, past and future, $32,600,000. Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff Mark Barden and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $57,600,000, initialed by juror number 1. To plaintiff Nicole Hockley, A, defamation/slander damages, past and future,
that I think was probably the most enjoyable to watch, at least for the last one I watched, was like all the people in the orbit of Alex Jones who had to like comb their hair, put on nice clothes, go into court and sort of like try to justify the insane stuff they were saying. That was some pretty nice schadenfreude.
A, defamation/slander damages, past and future, $38 million. B, emotional distress damages, past and future, $43,600,000. Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff Ian Hockley and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $81,600,000, initialed by juror number 1. To
Crazy
plaintiff
part,
Jennifer
though.
Hensley.
Like, I'm sure you've noticed, like, Alex isn't in court. Like, he's done everything he can to avoid actually being in court at the same time as the families. Yeah, they probably will see a bit of it. Maybe let's imagine like 10% of each of their judgment, if that. But I got another clip once this is done of, I believe, Alex Jones like going off on his show, like just continuing with the same behavior, like on his show while this is being read out. Like as this is happening and the courts are smacking him down, he's like on his show doing the exact same thing, like all over again. Like it's that insane.
A, defamation/slander damages, past and future, $21 million. B, emotional distress damages, past and future, $31 million. Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff Jennifer Hensel and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems. Add line A and line B, $52 million, initialed by juror.
Oh yeah, he's learned nothing.
To
I
the
mean,
plaintiff.
in this case, and also the previous one, in the past 2 civil cases, the lawyer for the plaintiffs has run a clip of some segment on his show where the judge, in both cases, he's done this twice, where the judge is like set with like flames going off behind them and lasers coming out of their eyes and stuff. It's so out of pocket. And the lawyer is, of course, like, look at this judge. He's painting you as like some part of weird cabal. Some P-word cabal, like, Jesus.
Donna A, defamation / slander damages past and future, $18 million. B, emotional distress damages past and future, $30 million. Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff Donna Soto and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $48 million, initialed by juror number 1.
How many plaintiffs were in this scene?
To plaintiff Carly Soto Parisi. A, defamation / slander damages past and future, $30 million. B, emotional distress damages past and future, $36 million. Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff Carly Soto Parisi and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $66 million, initialed by juror number 1.
Just mocking the
To
court
plaintiff
process.
Carlos
Yeah,
Matthew
exactly.
Soto. A, defamation / slander damages past and future.
It's like a opportunity to market, and it's like an they're out to get me. It's that thing. He's just like, see, I'm right. All my conspiracies are true because look, there's real world consequences to my actions. Haha, the state is out to get me, and I need your support. Like, he just spins it so effortlessly into an advertisement.
$18,600,000. B, emotional distress damages past and future, $39 million. Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff Carlos Matthew Soto and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $57,600,000, initialed by juror number 1. To plaintiff Jillian Soto Marino. A, defamation / slander damages past and future, $30 million. B, emotional distress damages past and future, $38,800,000. Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff Jillian Soto Marino and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $68,800,000, initialed by juror number 1. To plaintiff William Aldenberg. A, defamation / slander damages past and future, $45 million. B, emotional distress damages past and future, $45 million. Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff William Aldenberg and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $90 million, initialed by juror number 1. To plaintiff Erica Lafferty. A, defamation / slander damages past and future, $18 million. B, emotional distress damages past and future, $58 million. Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff Erica Lafferty and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $76 million, initialed by juror number 1.
There's like a mesmerizing quality to the judgment here. Just like each person gets this very formulaic, sentence that has so much power, and yet each of their cases is so deeply unique and in like, I don't know, just out of this world. And yet like all of it's being boiled down to like a number and a script. It's pretty wild to watch.
To plaintiff William Sherlock. A, defamation / slander damages past and future, $9 million. B, emotional distress damages past and future, $27 million.
His show can keep going. I don't know. I don't know if his show can keep going. If it says he's bankrupt, who's going to, like, what advertisers are going to run on his show now? I guess they're only really advertising for their own like products or something, like their own like weird pills and milk. I don't know. It's a good question. You'd think this would stop his show, but that man's got the will of the devil.
Fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff William Sherlock and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems, add line A and line B, $36 million, initialed by juror number 1. Roman numeral 2, award of attorney's fees and costs. Instructions. Check yes or no. To check yes, the judge will determine the amount due to the plaintiff for reasonable attorney's fees and costs and will then award the plaintiff that amount at a later date. If you check no, the judge will award $1 to the plaintiffs for their attorney's fees and costs. We, the jury, find that the standard charge for the assessment of attorney's fees and costs has been met. Yes is checked. Reasonable attorney's fees and costs to be awarded by the judge at a later date. Initialed by juror number 1. The last page is juror number 1's signature and the date 10/12/2022, and it is also initialed by juror number 1. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, do you all agree that this is your verdict?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anything further, counsel, before I discharge the jury?
Nothing from the defense, Judge.
All right. Now, as you will recall, when we started the case, I read some preliminary instructions to you, and I now have a brief, and I promise you, brief statement to read to you regarding post-verdict communications. You've now concluded your service as jurors, and jurors often ask whether they can discuss their jury experience with others. Under our law, that decision remains solely with each one of you. If you wish to discuss your jury service with others when you're asked about it, or even if you're not asked about it, you may do so. On the other hand, if you choose not to discuss your jury service with others, you may refuse to do so. The choice is yours. It is your right to decide whether to speak or not speak about your experience. Now, you may be contacted by members of the media seeking comment from you about your experience in this case. You are under no obligation to speak to the media, nor do you need to provide any explanation for not doing so. As you know, highly publicized trials may arouse strong reactions in the public. For this reason and others, you may wish not to publicize your service as a juror. That decision is entirely your own. Now I can deviate from the script. On a personal note, I would like to thank you all for your service and your dedication in serving on this jury, for taking time out of your busy lives. I hope that you found the experience a rewarding one, and I thank you for your service on behalf of the parties, the lawyer, and the court. You are hereby formally discharged from your service as jurors. Thank you again.
Dang. Okay, so that was the full... It was a bit dry, but I don't know, there's something mesmerizing and almost hypnotizing about the way court procedures can operate. You know, how much power is being passed through some people's lips, even as they're like just doing something repetitive or I want to say perfunctory. I don't know if that's the right word though. Will they ever see the money? We don't know. Yeah, that's the big question. Okay, so the next piece I have up is, I think, you wonder if the jurors are protected like the Deb V. Heard? They kept names private? I mean, we just heard all their names. We just all listened to, we just listened to all their names. So I guess not. And the judge is also like, you're on your own. The public might not like what you just did. And now they know who you are. But of course, nothing should happen to jurors because that would be wrong. Here is Ron Filipowski watching the Sandy Hook verdict live from his studio. Alex Jones makes an urgent plea to his audience for cash and tells them that none of the money they send him will go to the families because he has filed for bankruptcy. Now that's what I call remorse, everybody.
And from Remington, ain't gonna be happening.
Wow.
Ain't no money.
Look at this. Literally, you're multitasking? That's cool. Yeah, that's how live streams, that's the best way to listen to a live stream, is it in kind of in the background.
Plaintiff and against Alex Jones and Free.
I killed the kids, folks. I think.
Wow.
Number one, compensatory damages.
He's watching a man cry.
Fill in both numbers for each plaintiff, then go.
Now remember, I'm in bankruptcy. We got 2 years of appeals. The money you donate does not go to these people. It goes to fight
while he's crying
this fraud, and it goes to stabilize the company. They want to shut down. That's why the ambulance chasers did this. Why they use these families. So SaveInfowars.com. We're fighting Goliath. We'll win because of you. SaveInfowars.com. InfoWarsStore.com. Double Patriot points. 10% off at 1776 right now.
Double Patriot points, everybody. What the?
Now at InfoWars Store. But you see, you want somebody to fight for you? I'm doing it, and you see what they do. So you want to fight? That's fine.
This is your brain on fight milk, kids. Like,
it's your decision. But that's where we are. That's the whacked out system of the left. Did we hit 1 billion, guys? From Remy.
Did we hit 1 billion, guys? It's just a number to him. He's just like, wow, buddy. It's like he's going for the high jump at track and field or something. As he watches a man like fall to pieces in public. I don't know, man. Every time I look into the Alex Jones story, I'm just like, so hell is on earth. Like you can always go deeper into the pit of evil, man. That whole Nietzsche quote comes to mind, you know. Okay, all right. We got ourselves some Varia, something to just some palate cleanser. Let's also, I really have to go to the washroom. This is Tulsi Gabbard saying that she can't remain in the Democratic Party that is now under the complete control of an elitist cabal of warmongers driven by cowardly wokeness who divide us by racializing every issue and stoke anti-white racism, actively work to undermine our God-given freedoms, are hostile to people of faith and spirituality, demonize the police, and protect criminals at the expense of law-abiding Americans, believe in open borders, weaponize the national security state to go after political opponents, and above all, dragging us ever closer to nuclear war. I believe in a government that is of, by, and for the people. Oh man, Tulsi Gabbard, everybody. Why she's leaving the Democratic Party. Nobody, oh geez, is anybody surprised? She turned out to not have any real values.
Aloha. Thank you so much for joining me today on the very first show that we're putting out.
Oh wait. Okay, this might be super cringe, but
for joining me today on the very first show that we're putting out.
And
there's nothing more precious.
Tulsi's no warm. Jones doesn't have $1 billion? Well, that's what you think. No real values? Tulsi Gabbard's always been a very curious figure. Like, no one's really ever believed she's a Democrat, and it was always strange when she started running on the ticket. It was just like, huh? All the words out of your mouth don't sound like left-wing values. What are you saying right now? I don't know. Robert Evans has a really good piece on her and her very strange family. But yeah, I'm going to run this. I'm going to go to the washroom. I'll be right back.
That we have to give to one another than time.
The liars are lying,
So
and they will
I just
continue
want to let
lying
you know,
until you
I
believe the lie.
appreciate that you are taking some time out of your day to spend with me here on the Tulsi Gabbard Show. We got a lot to talk about today. We got a lot to talk about in the coming weeks. I will be sharing my perspective on a whole host of topics and issues, and I really look forward to sharing some interesting conversations with you, with people who I know very well as those who I may be meeting for the first time, but who have an interesting perspective on challenges we face, on opportunities that we have ahead of us. I think you'll like what we have to share. Today, I want to share something with you that has been on my mind and has been troubling me for quite some time and has now compelled me to take action. Now, I love our country. Our God-given rights of freedom, life, and liberty that are enshrined in our Constitution and Bill of Rights are what inspires me. Now, I answered the call to duty. I took an oath dedicating my life to supporting and defending those freedoms, both in uniform and in public office. I had the good fortune of growing up here in Hawaii. And growing up here gave me a very special appreciation for the importance of our environment, of protecting our water, protecting our natural resources. And, you know, I used to go and do beach cleanups as a kid and do other things trying to protect our home, but I always felt like I needed to do more. And so when I was 21 years old, I decided to run for Hawaii State House so that I could actually be in a position to do that, to protect the environment. I had never had any interest in running for office. Before that, I was not politically affiliated. But as I was filling out the paperwork to go and file my election papers, I had to choose which box I would check. I had to choose which party I would affiliate with.
Trudy Maid.
So before doing that, I thought I need to do my research. And I
5 months. 5 months. Thank you so much.
Did that. And as I read more and learned more, I was inspired.
Alex Jones was found guilty by a judge, not a jury. Yes, he was. Biden will be a liability for Democrats for many years to come. Yes, this is also true. Patrick's time is spitting, everybody.
By Democrats who stood up against the war in Vietnam. I was inspired by those who here in Hawaii
She's so boring.
fought.
This is what happens when you give someone with power like a script, but she's got and a microphone, but she's got like zero personality. She's just like running through these lines, the same monotone, just racking up those hits.
For plantation workers who were being abused and exploited.
I don't know how much more I can watch this. Let's see the part that actually went viral. This was the bit that everybody saw. 8 million views. Holy
I
cow.
can no longer remain in today's Democratic Party that's under the complete control of an elitist cabal of warmongers who were driven by cowardly wokeness.
Republicans don't like warmongers? Wait, what? Who do you like that is a Democrat? AOC is based. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Bernie Sanders, even though I know he's not a Democrat. Who's another good Democrat? Oh, this is easy. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse. He's been doing a really good job at exposing dark money in the judicial system, specifically the Supreme Court. He's been showing how you have these dark money groups that give donations to these organizations that go before the court in amicus briefs, and they essentially get what they want. It's like a really interesting view, and he's a Democrat. DNC had Colin Powell speak at their convention. Well, I don't like the DNC. You know I'm Canadian, right? AOC is voting with the establishment. Yes, this is how party politics works. It's kind of, that's how the sausage is made. Bernie Sanders, was on his own for so long. He only really started to get actual traction once there was massive populist support, and he started to be considered as someone who could take over the Democrat Party. But of course, the DNC did him raw, and he was, there's no way they're going to give him the keys to the car. So that's what happens. Like, you can't. Somebody goes and builds an entire institution. You can't just walk in and drive it, right? Like, I understand it creates problems that way, but that's just how party politics works. It's why it's good, and it's also why it's bad.
Divide us by racializing every issue and stoking anti-white racism.
Anti-white racism. That's like Kanye wearing his White Lives Matter thing. Why do you feel sorry for the people of Canada, Patrick's time? We were doing pretty based. I got free healthcare. We pretty much did okay during the 2008 financial crisis, although our housing is insane right now. But generally, people are pretty chill and based. We just elected a cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs premier in I think Alberta, Danielle Smith, who is like... The unvaccinated are the most persecuted people I've ever seen in my lifetime. And everybody's like, excuse me? You said what now? And then she had to put on oh, we're going to go read that. Let's go read her apology statement after this. This is super funny.
Actively work to undermine our God-given freedoms that are enshrined in our Constitution.
You feel sorry for the people of Canada. Man, Canadians have been feeling sorry since before you were born. The experimental jab doesn't work, and Pfizer data proves it. Well, Patrick's time, unfortunately, we believe in science here on the Be Weird channel, so you're gonna really be swimming upstream trying to sell your conspiratorial nonsense, especially since I got the microphone and you're just a gray name chatter.
Are hostile to people of faith and spirituality, who demonize the police but protect criminals at the expense of law-abiding Americans, who believe in open borders, who weaponize the national security state to...
You know it's a border we gotta close? The Canadian-American border, okay? We gotta stop Americans from fleeing America.
Go after their political opponents, and above all, who are dragging us ever closer to nuclear war.
I love like people who excuse Russian atrocities. It's like such an odd take. Pfizer executive admitted they didn't test the jab. Yeah, man. I'm just gonna take you at your word on that one. Yeah. I'm gonna take a guess here, and I'm gonna assume, just based off what I've seen so far, you're taking a piece of information wholly stripped of context. In fact, you probably got that information from a random source that's not a medical journal, that's not like a science journal or something, and the community is run so far and wild with some innocuous statement. You've concocted like an alternate reality. The fact of the matter is that the vaccines were incredibly successful across the world and resulted in the safety of hundreds of thousands of lives, if not millions. This is how vaccines work. If you don't like vaccines, sorry, you don't understand how humans protect themselves from viruses. I'm sorry, that sucks. But maybe one day you'll figure it out and it won't be such a difficult endeavor.
Now, I believe in a government that's of the people, by the people, and for the people. Unfortunately, today's Democratic Party does not. Instead, it stands for a government that is of, by, and for the powerful elite.
I mean, she's not wrong, but it's like, what are you're gonna join the Republicans who wanted to overthrow the government? Like what?
Now, I'm calling on my fellow common sense, independent-minded Democrats
Where are we going here?
to join me in leaving the Democratic Party. If you can no longer stomach the direction that the so-called woke Democratic Party ideologues are taking our country,
woke,
and I invite you to join me.
I really find it funny. Like, woke is a great example of like right-wing messaging. It really shows like how good they are at it. They turned woke, which by their own definition is like a positive thing, like caring about social justice or wanting to like push for racial or gender equality, and they turn it into a 4-letter word just by like repeating it in like that spit and venom kind of style. It's incredible. It's honestly really well done. Really well done. Great marketing. You can always learn something from the right wing when it comes to advertising and marketing. Pfizer admits in European hearing they never tested vaccines for preventing transmission. Pfizer has just admitted in a European... Yeah, okay. Let's see here. Let's see where we go. This is getting pretty outside the loop there, buddy. They never tested vaccines for preventing transmission before the vaccines entered the market. So yeah, when I post that, I like just get warnings. Yeah, we're not sure this is a reliable... Let's see if we can find a reliable source. We've got news.com.australia. Yeah, this isn't looking too legit there, buddy. This is like where like all the parts about assessing your sources. Remember when you're in English literature class and you were taught as a kid, you know, don't believe everything you read or hear on the internet because, you know, sometimes there's misinformation or you have absolutely no idea what you're listening to. Yeah, I'm not going to platform conspiratorial nonsense because you really believe it. It just seems kind of cringe. So yeah, unless you can give me some sort of source that is reputable, I'll accept any medical journal whatsoever, not just random quotes taken out of context. That's quite literally the definition of misinformation. I'll probably still not listen to it. I'm sorry. Anti-vaxxers are like on the same level as flat earthers. You're like really working uphill. You're like trying to upheave, you know, hundreds of years of you know that vaccinations are some of the first one of the first breakthroughs in medical science that was like one of our oldest. It was how we fought against cowpox. Like the Hunter laptop. Hey, Patrick's time. I hate to break it to you. I really hate to break it to you, but you might need to check your sources. I think you're being lied to. You have to realize as a Canadian, y'all come across so fucking out of pocket. Like, it's way, way out there. mRNA therapy is not a vaccine. mRNA, from what I understand, was like originally developed in like the 80s and 90s and is like a pretty interesting, like novel technique that has been getting tested and applied in the lab, and it clearly is very successful. Yeah. Hunter laptop is Russian disinformation? I'm not even sure what you're trying to say there. Do you understand that when you say Hunter laptop, I have no fucking clue what you're talking about? I actually still don't know after like years of the right, like, you know, doing this weird thing over Hunters. I actually don't know what's so scandalous about it. He like did drugs or something. He like tried to like get in with some company. I don't know. It's so small fries. It's like, honestly, it kind of it's really embarrassing. It's honestly really embarrassing. It's like, guys, like, you gotta come up with some new memes. Like, this is 2016, Colin. They want their memes back. Speaking of 2016, remember when a woman alleged that Trump SA'd her in a change room? Well, it looks like Trump is gonna get deposed after all. Looks like he's gonna have to answer tough questions, so this should be fun. A federal judge rejected former President Trump's attempt to pause his deposition in a defamation lawsuit scheduled for later this month, saying Trump's efforts to delay the case are inexcusable. Trump is scheduled to depose on October 19th. Ooh, it's coming right up. Ooh, next week. In the defamation lawsuit brought by E. Jean Carroll, a former magazine columnist who accused Trump of R-word her in a department store in the mid-1990s. Trump has denied the allegations. The story is not the laptop anymore. The fact that the FBI came out claiming it was Russian disinformation is the story. And then it looks like you got frustrated. Okay. If you say so. If you say so. Like, the Hunter laptop is Russian. You know that Russia's fighting a war right now, right? Are you aware that Russia is invaded another country? Are you aware of that? Jesus. Do you think that Russia's been staying out of American elections? Come on, put your thinking cap on, my guy. Do you think that Russia's not been toying with Canadian elections, American elections, Spanish elections, Georgian elections, French elections, Marine Le Pen? Come on, buddy. Come on. I love that conspiracy theorists just like can't do that extra mile. Just like, okay, so what is it? Are you saying that Russia's to be trusted? Did we forget about the Cold War? Oh yeah, all right. Let's just YouTube it. Hey, Patrick's time. I told you very clearly, I don't want no clips out of context. Also, I'm very curious. Pfizer did not know whether COVID vaccine stopped transmission. This is some unhinged shit. One of the weird things I didn't expect with live streaming was how much it would bring me into contact with like the fringes of the internet. People who are just don't have the critical analytics. Yeah, you're giving me a 45-second clip, my guy. What do you think this is? What information do you think? What do you think we're going to learn from this? Does this sound like a medical journal to you? You sent me a 45-second clip. What am I supposed to understand from this? Are you insane? Are you insane? That is the definition of misinformation. Come on, wake the fuck up. Oh, it's so embarrassing. Just go to this YouTube clip. Oh, God. Ah, Jesus. If I have to hear that one more time, I swear it's just gonna be just an instant ban. Just an instant ban. Like, I'm so tired of conspiracy theorists being like, yeah, man, we cracked the case. It's hey, Patrick's time. Are we on your show or are we on my show? Are we on my show or are we on your show? You go watch your weird clips out of context so you can, like, you know, feel good about how you know something special about some of the most complex science in the world. I'm a normal person, as far as I pretend to be. And I live in the world of, you know, reality where normal people don't magically come up with the knowledge and skills to parse deeply complex information like epidemiology or vaccine development. I'm sorry, buddy, but this is some real Dunning-Kruger shit, and you need to take yourself more seriously, because I sure as hell am not. Okay, so back to the Trump E. Jean Carroll defamation. Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, I'm as normal as I can try to be. You know, I am aware of what normies say and do. Okay, I'm aware of where the real world is. Okay. Who the hell is Carrie Mullis? I'm just trying to communicate to you that you're in a bubble, and you're trying to, like, reach me from across this bubble, and I'm trying to be really clear to you, like, yo, buddy, you've gotten yourself to a strange place. You're really in a weird place right now. Like, in my world, Dr. Fauci is quite literally one of the most cited scientists, and in my world, clips aren't taken out of context. People go to scientific journals and read often the most cited information because it's got the most eyes on it, it's been peer reviewed, it's gone through a double-blind test, it's got a really good methodology, it's bringing new information to the foray that changes how we think about viruses, and Dr. Fauci was and kind of still is the best at producing new information. So people who can't produce new information, especially new and true information, not just new information, but new and true, a lot of what they have to do is try to tear down people who produce new and true information. Look, he's got a new idea. I can make myself look smart by saying they're dumb or saying they're wrong. And, you know, lemmings eat it up. You know, rubes eat it up, and a fool and his money are soon parted. So it's really easy to make up nonsense about others, but to be new and true is extremely difficult. And it's why Dr. Fauci is not cited in research. Are you insane? Are you like, what world do you live in, my guy? He's one of the most cited people on the planet. It's like saying Bill Nye the Science Guy isn't a real scientist. Like, what are you talking about? Let's see here. From 1983 to 2002, Fauci was one of the world's most frequently cited scientists across all scientific journals. That took me literally less than 30 seconds to find out. I am ignoring you. If you don't, like, get your head out of your ass, I'm just gonna ban you, okay? It's very simple. I don't really have a high tolerance for, like, absolute rejects. You're willing to have an open mind? I'll have an open mind. But if it takes me literally 30 seconds to tell you you're full of shit, then we got a problem, okay? We got a problem. Bill Nye is absolutely a scientist. This is what I'm talking about. What world do you live in? What world do you live in? He's got, like, some basic degree. Mechanical engineer. What do you want? Science communicator. What do you want? Do you think all scientists must have a biology degree? Get the fuck out of here. God damn it. Internet is so full of stupid people. The judge said that Carroll would face substantial injury from further delay, citing the lengthy appeal process, which has already taken 20 months and is still not over, and the ages of Carroll and Trump, who are both in their 70s. Carroll's deposition is scheduled for this Friday. Kaplan noted Trump's efforts to delay the lawsuit and said his production of virtually no documents was inexcusable. An attorney for Trump could not immediately be reached. Quote, "We are pleased that Judge Kaplan agreed with our position to stay discovery in this case. We look forward to filing our case under the Adult Survivors Act and moving forward to trial with all dispatch," said Roberta Kaplan, Carroll's attorney. Carroll's attorney had suggested that Trump wanted to stop his deposition after learning that she intends to sue him in November under a new New York state law that allows victims of SA to sue years after the encounter. I feel like they could have used the word novel there. It'd make my life easier. The judge said the question of whether Trump R-worded Carroll is paramount to the current case, and the future lawsuit and stopping the deposition now because it could be used in the future would make no sense. Sure. Carroll sued Trump for defamation in 2019 after he denied R-wording her in the mid-1990s and said that she wasn't his type. Oh my God. And accused her of fabricating the claim to boost sales of her books. Yeah. What's TDS? What's TDS? I don't know what TDS is. Trump and the Justice Department argued Trump was a federal employee, and his statements denying Carroll's allegations were made in response to reporters' questions while he was at the White House. They argued the Justice Department should be substituted as the defendant, which, because the government cannot be sued for defamation, would end the lawsuit. That's awesome. There's no chance. The man who publicly bragged about it. I mean, Patrick, are you doing okay? Like, come on, man. Yeah, the man who's arguing in court. No. Technically, the DOJ is the defendant, and that's why the suit can't go forward. Yeah, he's Trump derangement syndrome. Yes, Patrick, that's what's been going on in the world. There is, people haven't been talking and coming to a conclusion based off of evidence and facts like, I don't know, recordings of Trump bragging he SAs people. You know, he just does it right there, you know? He just loves it. No. What's really, really going on is people are getting mind worms sent to them through the media airwaves. And of course, you have to remember the media is also all working together. They all are an absolute monolith. All of them agree 100% all the time. And they've all decided that this guy is uniquely bad for no reason other than a syndrome. You know, like when dude, nobody thinks Trump is a Russian agent. Who seriously makes that argument? I'm actually curious. Like, the thing I find so insane about right-wingers is that they get so absorbed in their own mythologies that they actually forget what, you know, like the other side is saying. And so they come up with these insane, crazy theories. Like I don't even think in the height of 2016, 2018, people were saying Trump was a Russian agent. They're just saying that he's a useful idiot, which, you know, Russian media was saying itself. So it wasn't really hard to connect the dots. Still believe the fake dossier after FBI admitted to offering Steele $1 million to verify, yet he couldn't. Are you doing okay? This is what happens when, like, the internet cooks your brain. Like, I think I know what you're talking about. I think you're talking about the dodgy dossier, right? Yeah, from what I understand, Steele was a spy who was hired by the Republicans to do opposition research on Trump during the primaries. And then that contract ended. Hillary Clinton started paying Steele. He collected field notes, which came to be known as the dodgy dossier, from Russian agents, very clearly in the document. If you've ever read it, which I have, which I bet you haven't, always really funny. Got to check your primary sources. Even in the document, it says a lot of this information, don't take this to be true, because, you know, this is coming from unreliable sources, i.e. Russian government agents. Hillary, and then I think the Daily Beast ends up leaking this, and then the right wing doesn't know what to do with the information, so they started concocting this like cockamamie nonsense that really the FBI had paid Steele, even though he's a British agent. Like, it just got really convoluted really quick. So if you paid attention to the story from the ground up, all of this is really sensible and sane. But if you're a crazy person, Durham probe, the Durham probe. We got a live one, boys. We got a live one. Man, right wingers, man. It's gotta what a world you must live in. Durham rebukes his own witness and slams FBI's Russia probe. Yeah. Yeah, what did Durham find? What did Durham find? Yeah. It looks like the results below are changing quickly. Literally, 3 for 3, every single thing that you've had me look up has come up with this. I just want to make you really aware that pretty much every single thing you've provided to me has come up with a yellow flag for disinformation. Now let's read this together and see if we can put our thinking caps on. We'll do a little bit of English lit, okay? Durham probe. FBI offered Christopher Steele $1 million to corroborate Trump allegations in dossier. Okay, that's quite the claim. The FBI offered ex-British intelligence agent, so just a private spy, Christopher Steele, $1 million to corroborate salacious allegations made in his dossier against former President Trump and members of his 2016 campaign. But he was unable to do so, an FBI official testified Tuesday. So, in this story, the thing that you are getting so hot and sweaty over, we have a single FBI official making a single sworn statement that the FBI offered to pay this spy money to corroborate allegations. Now, I'm already not even sure what the big story is here. A, it's the FBI. It's the Federal Bureau of Investigation. What do you expect? Yeah, he's a private spy. Yeah, that's what this means. Ex-British intelligence agent. He used to work for MI5, and then he left and opened up his own private agency. This Steele, man, this goes way back. This is like 8 years old, okay? Like, who cares about this stuff anymore? It's so ancient. He opens a private spy, and that's how, like, the Republicans originally hired him in the first place, because he had some of the best contacts in Russia. When he worked for MI5, he ran the Russian bureau. Like, that's why everybody's going to Steele for him, because he's the guy who had the contacts in the Duma. Like, so we're not off to a good start here. FBI supervisory counterintelligence analyst Brian Alton was the first witness in the trial of Igor Danchenko, the Russian national who served as the primary subsource for Steele's anti-Trump dossier and has been charged with 5 counts of making false statements to the Bureau. So yeah, unreliable sources, unreliable. Holy cow. Alton testified that he and a group of FBI agents went overseas in early October 2021 to speak with Steele about the dossier. During questioning by special counsel John Durham on Tuesday, Alton said that during those meetings, the FBI offered Steele $1 million if he could corroborate allegations in the dossier. Alton testified that Steele could not do so. Could be a gajillion reasons. Maybe he couldn't do so because you can't, like, go back to the same source to try to, like, back it up, or he had burned sources, or you couldn't go back to that area. There's, like, we actually don't know why at this point. And still, we only have the testimony of one FBI agent. So, is this true? Alton said, what? So we agreed the dossier was misinformation. Okay, this is actually an interesting question. If I go into the forest and I take notes of all the birds I saw, and I hand it in to you, and I say, hey, there might be some errors in this, but this is my assessment of how many birds there are in the woods. And you go and you run away with it, and you say, all of this is 100% true. Is that misinformation? No, because when someone says to you, hey, here's some information, you need to corroborate this to make sure it's actually true. I only have this from one source, from one point in time. A lot of this might not be true. And the other person doesn't corroborate it, and they run away with it and present it as fact. They're doing the misinformation, not the person who said, with a big asterisk, some of this might not be true. So, you know what I mean? Like, where do you want to draw that line? If the agent is saying very clearly, like, hey guys, these are field notes. Alton also said that the FBI had no corroboration of allegations in the dossier, but nevertheless took that information and inserted it into the FISA warrant to surveil former Trump campaign aide Carter Page. On October 21st, okay, this is also very interesting because from what I understand, Carter Page got scooped up in the FISA warrant, and the FISA warrant was surveilling Russians. One person came up with the fake dossier, and none of it has been validated, but it fits your narrative, so it must be true. Huh? You brought it up, you crazy person. You brought it up. You brought it up. What are you talking about? You brought it up. You're bringing this to me. Who cares? I haven't talked about the dossier in like 6 years. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a single shit about what Christopher Steele said. Only the right wing does. Like, literally, who's talking about this? Steele dossier? You're only gonna find right wing sources like that. Ooh, they're reporting on how prosecutors are arguing in court. Like, you understand how weird this makes you look, right? Nobody's surprised by this information. Nobody's surprised by this. If you followed the dossier from the ground up, it is not a shocker that Igor Danchenko was not a reliable source. Wow. Absolute shocker. Only the left wing cares about Trump allegations from decades ago. The January 6th commission's being led by a right winger. The dude tried to do a coup d'etat. What world do you live in? Man, Americans are weird. A guy can try to overthrow their government, and they're just like, yeah, give me more, man. Lap it up. Just lap it up. Like, Jesus, have some spine. The thing that wilds me out about right-wingers is they have such a crazy, like, fantasy of rising up against the government and, like, being, Second Amendment, fetishists. But lo and behold, a guy goes and tries to take over the government, and they're all like, yeah, please, Big Daddy Trump, give me more. Like, who's got the derangement syndrome, man? Like, come on. A random guy wanting to take over your entire bloody government. You guys are just, like, eating it up. The leftists now love warmongers that have been purged from the Republican Party. Okay, all right, buddy. Yeah, famous warmongers like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders. Yeah, big warmongers. Actually, I'm actually going to agree with you on that one. I mean, the left wing does love its war just as much as the right wing. Cheney, Colin Powell, John McCain is dead. John McCain is no longer alive. I'm getting concerned now. Are you saying, like, leftists love him? That they love the Cheneys? That they love Colin Powell? Man, it's really hard to understand your perspective. AOC is voting for war. What are you talking about? I just actually genuinely, I'm wondering, like, because there's getting a point where as the left and the right wing, especially in America, split further and further apart. They literally cannot understand where they're coming from, like what world. Russia invaded Ukraine, right? Do you agree that Russia invaded Ukraine? I think that's kind of a... Yeah, of course the DNC paid tribute to McCain. What are you talking about? The DNC's establishment. You're all over the place. You're like all over the place. The left wing is made up of more than just the DNC. Okay, so we're done with Tulsi Gabbard. We know that Trump's not getting out of it. Bill Nye is indeed a scientist, even if he hasn't published papers. We've got John Durham giving Trump what he wants, doing this very... Oh yeah, that's why I laughed so hard with the John Durham thing. He did a grand jury and the grand jury couldn't give him anything. He did a whole grand jury, the very thing that can indict a ham sandwich, and he couldn't get them to find anything. Friggin' hilarious. Oh man, that's so good. So then he's starting to... Oh, so that's why he's trying to, like, get FBI agents to say the thing. Friggin' funny, man. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know, man. This stuff is, like, your brain's got to be melting out of your ears to believe this shit. It's pretty moronic. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. If a single guy gets up in court and, like, you're like, yeah, it's a slam dunk, oh, I got a bridge to sell you. Also, you still haven't answered the question. Do you believe that Russia invaded Ukraine? I genuinely want to know now. The big lies that Biden won. Oh, you got a live one, everybody. Yeah, man. I hate to tell you, but your brain's been cooked by the internet. Your brain's been cooked. Your brain's been cooked. I'm sorry. I can't help you. From everything that I've studied when it comes to like trying to change people's perspective, like you require some sort of like empathetic base for both people to start from. Then that person sort of sees you as another human being, and you can kind of like sort of give some counterpoint. But anytime you directly challenge someone's worldview, they just dig in even further. So even asking you, you know, whether you think Russia invaded Ukraine, which you aren't answering for some odd reason, very curious. And instead you're asking if I'm a big fan of Zelensky. I mean, yeah, he seems to be doing pretty all right as a comedian president who suddenly had to put on his wartime boots. I just think it's yeah, it's not a good situation. It's really not a good situation. It's like there's nothing I can actually say to reach you. You can keep pushing your viewpoint, but like anytime you do, when I respond with context, you just move on to the next one because you don't actually want to like stick with any single set of facts. You already moved on from the Christopher Steele stuff, even though I just clearly demonstrated how little you knew on the subject. So that's mostly what I've interacted with when it comes to people who have really poorly formed beliefs or just like not a lot of critical analysis. To just next topic. Next topic. Next topic. Let's not stay here. Let's not stay here and go further. Let's move on. I'm getting uncomfortable. And it's just like kind of, I don't know, man. Like, yeah. I'm sorry. Can't help you. Okay. It looks like, do we have another January 6th hearing? Is the 9th hearing happening? Yo, really? Watch live October 13th. Oh, hell yeah. Okay, I'm going to try my best to kick around for this because this is going to be real spicy. This is going to be super spicy. Obama State Department and CIA overthrew democratically elected government in 2014. Didn't Zelensky ban opposition party? This guy doesn't even know who Carrie Mullis is. You know, just for you, I'll take a look, but you know it's a really bad take when you say somebody doesn't know someone, therefore they're dumb, you know? Like, that's not a good take. Mullis attracted controversy for downplaying humans' role in climate change and for expressing doubts that HIV is the sole cause of AIDS. I know who Carrie Mullis is now. He sounds like an idiot. Sounds like an absolute moron. What a dummy. He actually doesn't believe in climate change. What does he think? The earth is flat? What a reject. Why did you have me look this up? Why would you do that? Why you do that? Why would you do that? It's like, did you look him up? Did you try Googling who this person is? What's next? Wikipedia's part of the left wing, I don't know, conspiracy thing happening. Climate change is a hoax. Yeah, okay, buddy. It's only 18 degrees in October in Canada. Totally normal. That's been something happening my entire life. I definitely remember warm Octobers. You know, October, when all the leaves change colors because the temperature is changing. Yeah, super normal to be going out in my shorts and flip-flops. Climate change is a hoax. Do you ever wonder if, like, the reason you believe everything you do is because people pay attention to you? Do you just have controversial, dumb takes because people pay more attention to you? That's my question. I'm really getting some like, you were not held enough as a child vibes. Like, that's kind of the feel. Trump worker told FBI about moving Mar-a-Lago boxes on ex-president's orders. Oh, that's pretty big if true. Pretty Pretty interesting story going on there. Mullis invented the PC. See, you moved on again. You moved on again. You can't stay. I look up Carrie Mullis. You move on. I tell you that climate change is real. You move on. It's kind of... Mullis invented the PCR test. So? Who cares? If someone invents something and like it's verified in the scientific community, that's kind of how science works. I don't think you understand how epidemiology functions. WikiLeaks is this guy's source of info. I haven't been on WikiLeaks since like 2002. That's some 20-year-old memes, man. A Trump employee has told federal agents about moving boxes of documents at Mar-a-Lago at the specific direction of the former president, according to people familiar with the investigation, who say the witness account, combined with security camera footage, offers key evidence of Donald Trump's behavior as investigators sought the return of classified material. The witness description and footage described to the Washington Post offer the most direct account to date of Trump's actions and instructions leading up to the FBI's August 8th search of the Florida residence and private club, in which agents were looking for evidence of potential crimes, including obstruction, destruction of government records, or mishandling classified information. So where are you on this one? I'm curious, Patrick. Is this also just a random hoax? They made it up. That image of classified documents was staged. Which one are you going with? What's your preferred conspiracy theory? Because I know you ain't in the realm of facts and evidence. Sheesh. Lancet Commission report, 6 reasons COVID response, a massive global failure. That sounds legit. That's the Lancet. I'll check that out after. I'm sure we're going to find out that it has all sorts of complex reasons. I'm sure that's quite the deep read. Let's focus on this story, and maybe we'll get to that later. The people familiar with the investigation said agents have gathered witness accounts indicating that after Trump advisors received a subpoena in May for any classified documents that remained at Mar-a-Lago, Trump told people to move boxes to his residence at the property. Nobody cares about Trump and your TDS. Well, Patrick's time. I hate to break it to you, but as a Canadian, seeing my neighbors to the south go through a failed coup d'etat kind of gets me nervous. Kind of makes me a little worried that you're going to go to war with each other. Like that America is going to split into 4, maybe. Probably 4 different states. And y'all going to beef it out. And that's a problem. Trump is just a tiny little piece of it, just to be super clear. Trump is very much a symptom of the broader problem in America. And that's why most Canadians care about like the specific what's happening with Trump. Like, how is he escaping all this justice? Because if it carries on any further and like things really go to pot, then yeah, America could go really scary, really fast. Pfizer exec admits under oath, we never tested COVID vaccine against transmission. Okay, is that true though? Is it true? I'm gonna look up that quote and find another YouTube video. You understand how context works, right? We're reading about this story. Okay? You push all the establishment fake narratives. Hey, Patrick's time. What's more likely? What do you think is more likely? That you keep running into normal, sane people who use facts and evidence to come to rational conclusions about the world based off of a variety of sources that use techniques to get at the truth, to produce evidence, i.e. journalism? Or do you think it's more likely that there is an establishment, a big state, that is paying a streamer with less than 5 views? There's less than 5 viewers in here, buddy. Think this through. Really think this through. You think I'm getting paid to do this shit? Are you insane? The only way I get paid is if you subscribe. And you can do that with an Amazon Prime account. It will keep you from getting the ads that I very rarely run because I don't believe in doing a stream with ads. Time and place. Time and place. If you're uncomfortable with reading journalism, I'm not sure the internet is is for you. Yeah, useful idiots. You think useful idiots go to Washington Post? Yeah, man. This man's reading the New York Times. He's really getting conned. Look at him go. Like, what do you think? What is wrong with you, my guy? Am I supposed to not believe my lying eyes? Trump spokesman Taylor Budowich declined to answer detailed questions for this article. Quote, the Biden administration has weaponized law enforcement and fabricated a document hoax in a desperate attempt to retain political power. Like, I don't trust people who randomly capitalize random words they shouldn't capitalize. I don't know why these are the people you trust. You're like, yeah, he's capitalizing document hoax. That must mean it's real. Useful idiots believe the Washington Post. Yikes, dude. Yikes. That's a big yikes for me, man. It's a big yikes. Mister, go to this YouTube video of a 45-second clip. Operation Mockingbird is like 70 years old. Are you insane? Are you insane? Are you actually insane? Like, this is so old. 1975. It's 50 years old. What are you talking about? You're literally, like, actually crazy. You're actually lost your goddamn mind. You've actually lost it. Take a breath. Actually, go away. Can't deal with your insanity anymore. You've absolutely lost your fucking mind. Take a breath. Jesus. Fucking moron. Spokesman for the Justice Department FBI declined to comment. Trump spokesman Taylor Budowich declined to answer detailed questions. Right, the document hoax thing. Every other president has been given time and deference regarding the administration of documents, as the president has the ultimate authority to categorize records and what materials should be classified. The warrant authorizing the search of former President Donald Trump's home said agents were seeking documents possessed in violation of the Espionage Act. Yeah, probably don't want your ex-president doing spying and selling secrets. Probably a bad thing. Budowich accused the Justice Department of a, quote, continued effort to leak misleading and false information to partisan allies and the fake news, again, weirdly capitalized, and said that to do so is nothing more than dangerous political interference and unequal justice. Simply put, it's un-American. Pretty sure stealing code-level secrets is un-American. The employee who is working at Mar-a-Lago is cooperating with the Justice Department and has been interviewed multiple times by federal agents, according to the people familiar with the situation, who declined to identify the worker. In the first interview, these people said, the witness denied handling sensitive documents or the boxes that might contain such. Probably shouldn't lie to the FBI. It's probably a bad choice. As they gathered evidence, agents decided to re-interview the witness, and the witness's story changed dramatically, these people said. In the second interview, the witness described moving boxes at Trump's request. Nice. Nicely done. The witness is now considered a key part of the Mar-a-Lago investigation, these people said, offering details about the former president's alleged actions and instructions to subordinates that could have been an attempt to thwart federal officials' demands for the return of classified and government documents. Multiple witnesses have told the FBI they tried to talk Trump into cooperating with the National Archives and Records Administration, also known as NARA, and the Justice Department, as those agencies for months sought the return of sensitive or historical government records, people familiar with the situation said. Sorry, just refresh the page. But entreaties from advisors and lawyers who pushed for Trump to hand the documents back fell on deaf ears with Trump. These people said, speaking on the condition of anonymity to discuss private conversations. Trump grew angry this spring after a House Oversight Committee investigation was launched, telling aides they'd screwed up the situation, according to people who heard his comments. They're my documents, Trump said, according to an aide who spoke to him. The details shared with the Post revealed two key parts of the criminal probe that until now have been shrouded in secrecy. An account from a witness who worked for and took directions from Trump, and the way that security footage from Mar-a-Lago has played an important role in buttressing witness accounts. It's pretty damning when someone is like, yeah, Trump told me to do this thing, and then there's footage of you doing the thing. It's not a good look. And that's probably why their testimony changed. Like, I didn't help Trump. Trump didn't tell me to do anything. That's a lie. And then, like, a week later, they're like, okay, come in and watch this footage. Well, you see, that's me, but like, you sure you don't want to change your statement to the FBI? You know that lying to the FBI comes with 10 years. You know, that's almost certainly what happened. Together, these pieces of evidence helped convince the FBI and Justice Department to seek the court-authorized search of Trump's residence, office, and his storage room at Mar-a-Lago, which resulted in the seizure of 103 documents that were marked classified and had not been turned over to the government in response to the May subpoena. Some of the documents detail top-secret U.S. operations so closely guarded that many senior national security officials are kept in the dark about them. This is some bad shit, man. You cannot have your head of state absconding with major secrets. Top secret U.S. operations. What is he doing with it? Citizen Trump's working for the Russians. The August 8th search also yielded about 11,000 documents not marked classified. The failure or possible refusal to return the classified documents in response to the subpoena is at the heart of the Justice Department's Mar-a-Lago investigation, which is one of several high-profile ongoing probes involving Trump. Oops. Oopsie daisy. No. Ongoing. Here we go. The former president remains the most influential figure in the Republican Party and talks openly about running for the White House again in 2024. Within Trump's orbit, there have been months of dueling accusations and theories about who may be cooperating with the federal government. Some of the former president's closest aides have continued to work with Trump, even as they have seen FBI agents show up at their houses to question them and serve subpoenas. Within the Justice Department and FBI, the witness's account has been a closely held secret as agents continue to gather evidence in the high-stakes investigation. In addition to wanting to keep the information they have gathered so far under wraps, people familiar with the situation said authorities are also concerned that if or when the witness's identity eventually becomes public, that person could face harassment or threats from Trump supporters. And as you saw from the Trump supporter in our chat, they are absolutely in another reality. In a filing to the Supreme Court on Tuesday, Justice Department lawyers appeared to allude to witness accounts and the video footage when they wrote, quote, "The FBI uncovered evidence that the response to the grand jury subpoena was incomplete, that additional classified documents likely remained at Mar-a-Lago, and that efforts had likely been taken to obstruct the investigation." Since the August 8th search, Trump has offered a number of public defenses of why documents with classified markings remained at Mar-a-Lago, saying he declassified the secret documents, suggesting that the FBI planted evidence during the search, and suggesting that as a former president, he may have had a right to keep the classified documents. No problem. This is totally normal. National security law experts have overwhelmingly dismissed such claims, saying they range from far-fetched to nonsensical. But they're all part of the secret left-wing cabal, apparently. Jokes. Officials at the National Archives began seeking the return of documents last year after they came to believe that some presidential records from the Trump administration, such as letters from North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, were unaccounted for and perhaps in Trump's possession. He stole the love letter, everybody. He is like all about the Kim Jong-un love letter. After months of back and forth, Trump agreed in January to turn over 15 boxes of material. When archivists examined the material, they found 184 documents marked classified, including 25 marked top secret, which were scattered throughout the boxes in no particular order, according to court filings. That discovery suggested to authorities that Trump had not turned over all the classified documents in his possession. In May, a grand jury subpoena demanded the return of classified documents with a wide variety of markings, including a category used for secrets about nuclear weapons. In response to that subpoena, Trump's advisors met with government agents and prosecutors at Mar-a-Lago in early June, handing over a sealed envelope containing another 38 classified documents. This man's just full of them, including 17 marked top secret, according to court papers. According to government filings, Trump's representatives claimed at the meeting that a diligent search had been conducted for all classified documents at the club. Oopsie daisy. Probably shouldn't have said that. Probably a bad idea. That meeting, which included a visit to the storage room where Trump's advisors said the relevant boxes of documents were kept, did not satisfy investigators, who were not allowed to inspect the boxes they saw in the storage room, according to government court filings. 5 days later, senior Justice Department official Jay Bratt wrote to Trump's lawyers to remind them the Mar-a-Lago does not include a secure location authorized for the storage of classified information. Bratt wrote that it appears classified documents have, quote, not been handled in an appropriate manner or stored in an appropriate location. Accordingly, we ask that the room at Mar-a-Lago where the documents have been stored be secured, and that all of the boxes that were moved from the White House to Mar-a-Lago, along with any other items in that room, be preserved in that room in their current condition until further notice. Agents continued to gather evidence that Trump was apparently not complying with either government requests or subpoena demands. After significant deliberation, aware that it would be highly unusual for federal agents to search a former president's home, they decided to seek a judge's approval to do so. That August 8th search turned up in a matter of hours 103 documents marked classified, including 18 marked top secret, according to court papers. The stash included at least one document that described a foreign country's military defenses, including its nuclear capabilities. Trump derangement syndrome, everybody. Imagine defending this guy. Like, I actually genuinely feel bad for people whose brains get cooked so hard by the internet. Just like actually getting destroyed. It's sad to see. It's sad. Oh well. But honestly, I was getting hot in the collar over some single gray name chatter who's probably never gonna support the stream, so no sense in hanging on his coattails. So 12:45 Eastern Standard. That is 2 hours from now. Do we have 2 hours of content? Is the question. That doesn't involve beefing with randos. This was a scary story. Worth checking out. Stop the Steal supporters train thousands of U.S. poll observers. This is probably one of the more dangerous stories that's cooking up. And we also have some George Conway talking about Trump getting clapped, which should be pretty mid actually. Should be. Why is there a Fox News panic? Okay, so let's check out some Morning Joe real quick.
Today's hearing from the House committee investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol, and it'll focus on Trump's state of mind.
Good luck with that.
An aide tells NBC News it will reveal new information the committee has gathered and will highlight events that took place before and after January 6th. The hearing will be roughly 2.5 hours long with a 10-minute recess halfway through. Every member of the committee will present different pieces of evidence. It will not include any live witnesses, but will feature new testimony from witnesses who have appeared during past hearings, as well as from some who have not been seen before. This hearing will likely be the committee's last before the midterm elections, and that's where I begin with you, Jackie. So they're wrapping this up. What more can you tell us in terms of what we can expect this afternoon, and then what happens from there?
Yeah, and just for the sake of transitions, to show how dark and interconnected this world of extremism is, we'll probably be seeing texts from Alex Jones during this hearing today, after his lawyer accidentally sent them to the lawyer of the Sandy Hook parents, who then provided it to the January 6th committee, who went through all of them and found that he was communicating with people like Roger Stone and other extremists. But today, I think, is going to be a little bit different from the previous hearings that we've seen, in that it's going to take a step back, sort of be a 30,000-foot view of the entire effort to overturn the results of the election, starting from before Election Day and ending after January 6th, all of Trump's efforts to overturn the election, regardless of what the electoral outcome was going to be. It's going to be divided up into a few different sections led by different lawmakers. One section that my colleague Carroll and I reported on extensively yesterday is going to be focused on Secret Service and the way the Secret Service was sort of implicated in the cover-up, essentially, of January 6th, and a lot of this information is going to be corroborative of information that the committee has already put out in previous hearings. There's probably going to be new testimony from associates of the former president, his cabinet secretaries who interviewed with the committee over the summer to talk about why they were potentially mulling the 25th Amendment and having questions about Trump's state of mind and his mental fitness after the attack, along with underscoring the ongoing threat to democracy and our elections. As you were saying, Joe, the election worker in Florida who is subject to a constant barrage of attacks. This continues to today. It's what I like to call the slow rolling insurrection that has festered and been spawned by Trump's consistent fraudulent claims of election fraud.
Yeah. So, Jackie, this does feel something like a closing argument for this committee, which has been incredibly effective at telling the story. We noted, when they last left us in July, that there wasn't the usual grandstanding we've seen from usually a congressional hearing is full of senators and members of Congress sort of puffing themselves up and telling long stories. It's been pretty focused on the facts. So the question is, what happens from here? They've grabbed the public's attention. We understand the story. The public understands the story of what happened before, during, and after January 6th. They'll make a report and then likely some referrals. And then what does the Justice Department do with any of that is the question.
Real question.
Yeah, these are all very good questions, Willie. And these lawmakers don't have time to do the grandstanding because the amount of information they've collected. Just between August and now alone, they received 1.5 million documents from the Department of Homeland Security regarding some of the document requests they made to the Secret Service. And they received a trove of emails, Microsoft Team chats, new radio frequency recordings of radio frequency channels of live Secret Service communications that were taken.
The January 6th committee is today, so I'm stringing out some content to make it until then.
Taking place. So the committee is not only using this hearing to make the closing argument, but to squeeze in all of the evidence that they have not yet had a place to show yet. But you are right in that this is the last time that they have this platform before midterms and are really trying to lay out to voters ways that they feel like they have been misled and swindled. They're probably going to also show the ways in which the Republican Party really tried to defraud the American people by continuing to fundraise off of these false claims of election fraud and allow people to make the most educated decision possible when they go to the polls in November, but more importantly in 2024, and potentially present some alternatives and some.
I was raging at a very, very confused person who's bringing up like the Christopher Steele stuff and Durham and vaccine conspiracy stuff, like absolutely cooked in the brain. I was kind of losing my shit, so I dropped my mic.
New legislative.
I eventually timed them out when they're like, you read the Washington Post? Haven't you heard of Operation Mockingbird? And I'm like, bro, that's from the 70s. Like, come the fuck off. You're like not even in this like era. Jesus.
Remedies to prevent this from happening again.
I can't help you.
And George, that leads to the question about Donald Trump. Jackie was just talking about people who fraudulently used the lie, the big lie, to raise money from Americans, sort of the Jim and Tammy Faye Baker routine. Donald Trump is the guy in charge of this political PTL club, and I'm curious, does he face the consequences for lying, saying, give me money? Like, what did he raise? Like $250 million? And didn't use it for any of these efforts that he said he was going to use it for?
Well, it should, but I mean, there's a hesitancy to pursue political fundraising because of the potential First Amendment concerns.
You
But
presented
here,
your senior thesis?
It's outright lying. It's no
Holy shit, how'd it go? Holy cow, that's big. That's big news. Your brain must be cooked.
different than the Steve Bannon case, where they're just basically saying, oh, we're going to build a wall. And of course, they're just lining their pockets. Trump is using it to pay for legal fees and using
build
it to
the wall between America and Canada.
Basically keep people happy and silent, I guess.
What was your thesis on?
And so it's just, I think that
Didn't feel super prepared, fumbled a lot, but I got good feedback. It's really hard to succeed in those situations because it's really difficult to recreate the environment so you can get some proper practice. Like you need to like recreate that social anxiety in order to like get better at it. And yeah, it's either you just keep doing those types of situations and learning from it, or you try really hard to recreate that, do it in front of your friends or family. That's always a good strategy for next time.
The reckoning for him is going to be broader than that piece of it, that civil fraud piece of it, where he's from the fundraising, the grift of it. I mean, there was a broad-based conspiracy to stop the op.
Oh, yeah, sleep is, key. Shame on those greedy families? Wait, Miles, what are you talking about? Are you pro Alex Jones? We stand by Alex Jones. Yeah, do you swallow the pills too that make your dick bigger? Do you Yeah, I love how whenever I'm on YouTube I get like the really crazy right-wingers who have just their brains are just leaking out of their ears. It was on political orientation, right-wing authoritarianism, and value-based stigma of mental illness. Robbie Parker laughing in video? I don't know who Robbie Parker is.
Of the federal government insofar as it was...
Okay, but what was your point, Saren? Like, what was your contribution to this, to perspective, to science? Like, what was your unique take, I guess, is always the thing I care about. Okay, so it was about these things, but what were you trying to say? And value-based stigma of mental illness. I'm going to take a guess, and it's like people who, like, scored well on these tests that search for authoritarianism also seem to stigmatize people with mental illness and also had a political orientation of being on the right wing. That's my guess, but I'm very biased.
Undergoing a peaceful transfer of power, and that is, more than money, more than anything else, is the most valuable thing we have in our democracy. Yes, and so, that's what he really, if there's justice in this world, that's what he should.
The hard part with those ones, and hopefully, I don't know if, maybe you can correct me on this, but from what I understand, the problem with those types of studies is that like the test for authoritarianism is. It's really weak sauce. Like it's testing for like a bundle of traits, right? And it's really hard to like say with any certainty that X is Y or whatever, right? Like you have a really hard time establishing causation. It's only like normative or like you know what I'm trying to say? Like there's only like correlative assertions that can be made, and as you get further and further, as like the bundles of traits get larger and larger, the correlation gets weaker and weaker. That's kind of my understanding.
Could be held to account. The irony is,
same problem
is that,
like bias
is
training
that,
or whatever.
Simpler things often, take the day, and the documents case is just outright theft and lies in a way that's just orders of magnitude simpler than anything
he stole,
else he's
he
ever
stole
done.
secrets.
There's nothing to paper up and make complicated like his business is, and there's nothing, you don't have to deal with 1.5 million emails and stuff like that. It's just really, really simple.
It's
he's like, here are the documents. He's going through them himself. He's telling people to move the documents.
You know how right-wingers are selfish? Because whenever they come to chat, they only want to talk about their thing. They never want to talk about what's on screen or the conversation happening in chat. They just want to talk about their particular view of the world.
It's around. He's telling people to lie about that. He's a one-man show here.
So where does that go?
That, to me, that's again, I've said this many times, is the shortest distance between Donald Trump and an orange jumpsuit is that case, because it is so simple. It's like the U.S. attorney trying to bring a big mob case against the 5 families and trying to connect it up to the boss, and all of a sudden they get the call from the NYPD saying, hey, the big boss, the capo is loading jewelry on a truck at the Kennedy Airport. And that's what happened there. He's caught red-handed.
Sure, on the sliding scale, I'm curious of severity of how of the Espionage Act. What is required for the president to have done?
It takes me, I think, 10 times less energy to talk to you than it does to talk to me. Like that's one thing that Devin Nash pointed out that I found so interesting, was that the Twitch audience has to be like really highly trained and like able to type fast and use particular emotes and understand particular cultural lenses and all this stuff. And That's always stuck with me, that streamers sometimes have an easier job than Twitch chatters.
In order to go to prison?
Basically, what he's already done. I mean, basically refusing to give the documents back.
It's too bad because chatters are always wrong, you know.
Upon request is sufficient under the Espionage Act. And he's done that, and then you have the aggravating facts about how the volume of documents and the lying and how long this dragged on.
6 months.
I don't know how they don't bring a case here.
Yeah, they have to bring a case. Like, it's absolutely incredible. Okay, apparently there's an informer inside Donald Trump's home.
Well, I want to begin tonight
so I'm going to play
pledge to
this. I'll be
you,
right back.
the audience of this.
Lawrence O'Donnell is very hit or miss, so we got 2 minutes to see if this is a hit or miss. Sometimes he gets new info.
Program. This is
no way Trump gets away with it this round. He can't keep getting away from it. He can't keep it. I don't know, man. There's no way there's no way. There's no legal apparatus that protects him at this point. Like, I don't know what he can say to slither out of this. He's dead to rights. Like, he's so screwed this time. He got caught with national secrets at Mar-a-Lago, and like, there's apparently possibly a worker caught on film moving the documents after he received the subpoena to return them over. Jesus. And one of his lawyers signed off saying, oh yeah, we definitely handed over everything. And then they find top secret documents that even the FBI agents can't see. It's awesome. It's great. It's spy level shit. I love it. It's great. It's hilarious. I always find it amazing that like right-wingers don't glom onto this. It's such a good conspiracy. It's like an actual conspiracy.
That I will.
All right, I'll be right back.
And analyze any evidence.
Warning, Libshit. Let's just speed this up a bit. He is such a slow speaker. Oh my God. Okay, I'll be right back.
That emerges to indicate that Donald J. Trump might not be guilty of obstruction of justice and violating the Espionage Act. But so far, no such evidence has emerged in any way. Donald Trump's lawyers have offered no hint of a defense to the potential criminal charges of obstruction of justice and violating the Espionage Act. And tonight, in the breaking news of the night, the evidence has taken a turn that could be what a criminal jury finds to be proof beyond a reasonable doubt that Donald Trump committed those crimes. There is an informer inside Donald Trump's home in Florida. That is the breaking news. Reported tonight in the Washington Post under the headline, Trump worker told FBI about moving Mar-a-Lago boxes on ex-president's orders. In each one of the Justice Department's legal filings in the appropriately titled case of Donald J. Trump versus the United States of America, the Justice Department has repeatedly used a phrase that appeared in last night's filing in the case to the Supreme Court by the Solicitor General. The FBI uncovered evidence. There are two key points in the story where the Justice Department leans very heavily on some variation of that phrase. Every single time the Justice Department lays out the chronology of their investigation in a legal filing in court, they always say that after Donald Trump returned 15 boxes of documents to the government 1 year after he left the presidency, the FBI somehow knew that there were still more government documents in Donald Trump's possession. In last night's filing, the Solicitor General put it this way. The FBI developed evidence that additional boxes remaining at Trump's residence at the Mar-a-Lago Club in Palm Beach, Florida, were also likely to contain classified information. That is such a loaded sentence. The FBI developed evidence that Donald Trump had more boxes of classified documents. How did they do that? How did the FBI develop that evidence? How did the FBI find that out?
This is actually fire. He's actually selling this really well. Like, I remember this being speculation from like the early reporting when we all learned about the FBI raid, and a lot of speculation being like, you think they got a mole? And yeah, I guess we're finding out.
In every chronology prosecutors have presented, they always describe FBI agents and a federal prosecutor going to Florida on June 3rd to personally take custody of the remaining documents in Donald Trump's possession. And when they take those documents, that's the day when Trump lawyer Christina Bobb was reportedly talked into signing a certification that was completely false.
awesome.
A certification saying that the documents being handed over on June 3rd were the very last government documents in Donald Trump's possession. Donald Trump had been hit with a
how to destroy your career in less than 60 seconds. Oh my gosh.
For those documents by the government. So he had to turn over all of the remaining documents on that day because defying the subpoena would be a crime in and of itself. So the FBI agents and the prosecutor at Donald Trump's home on June 3rd took that small collection of documents that they were handed that day, and they took that written statement made under oath that there was absolutely nothing left in Donald Trump's home. And then the next line in the government's telling of the story is always a version of what the Solicitor General wrote in last night's filing to the Supreme Court. Quote, the FBI uncovered evidence that the response to the grand jury subpoena was incomplete, that additional classified documents likely remained at Mar-a-Lago, and that efforts had likely been undertaken to obstruct the investigation. Every version of that sentence that prosecutors have written in their court filings has always been the most loaded sentence in their filings. The FBI uncovered evidence. The FBI uncovered evidence that Donald Trump didn't hand over all of the documents subject to the subpoena on June 3rd. Donald Trump withheld government documents again. How did the FBI uncover that evidence? And how does that evidence show that it wasn't just a mistake that Donald Trump didn't hand over all of the documents, but it was actually, quote, undertaken to obstruct the investigation? How did the FBI find that out? Now we know. Tonight we know. Now we know that there is a witness on the verge of becoming the most famous witness in the world. And the
I guess they would be. That is actually a huge witness. Somebody's actually going to say, yes, the president told me, his words from his lips. Like, that's game over.
Most important witness ever to testify against a former president of the United States, a witness who might be able to deliver proof beyond a reasonable doubt to a criminal jury of
Finally, get to watch you stream. You listen. Hey, how's it going, Carroll Baskin? Yeah, I'm trying to get back to a regular stream. I was up at like 3 this morning, fantasizing about starting stream at 7 a.m. like Heem would. Maybe one day I'll get there and I'll fill the Heem void. I want to have a stream that's like, Heem refugees. It's now okay. It's now polite to poach his audience because he's officially left. Maybe you can be as inconsistent as Heem too. Was he really inconsistent? I'd love to know because me, I'm like in the saddle or I'm not. I'm either every single day at 9, like literally 9 a.m., like on the friggin' dot, I'm getting it down to the minute, or I just disappear for a week. I just like no announcement. I'm just like hit a wall. I just like get really sad or something, or just like too much homework and just disappear. Yeah, he always promised every morning, but usually streamed about 2 or 3 times a week. Yeah. I have like on weeks and off weeks. I'm trying to manifest a really strong regular thing, which is why it's so hard to move it earlier and earlier and earlier, because it like shifts all the systems. And sometimes I get insomnia. I'm up at like 2 or 3, like this morning. Just absolutely wild. Just no reason being awake at that hour.
Trump. The Washington Post is reporting tonight a Trump employee has told federal agents about moving boxes of documents at Mar-a-Lago at the specific direction of the former president, according to people familiar with the investigation. It gets worse.
Oh, it gets worse.
When Donald Trump tell the Trump employee to move the boxes? The Washington Post is reporting that Donald Trump told the Trump employee to move the boxes after Donald Trump received a subpoena from the federal government for those boxes. The fact that Donald Trump ordered the movement of those boxes after he received the subpoena could be proof beyond a reasonable doubt of Donald Trump's intention to commit obstruction of justice.
Get him.
It gets worse.
It gets worse.
The Washington Post is reporting that there are multiple witness accounts about Donald Trump ordering the boxes moved after receiving the subpoena in May.
That's awesome.
The people familiar with the investigation said agents have gathered witness accounts indicating that after Trump advisors received a subpoena in May for any classified documents that remained at Mar-a-Lago.
Can't wait to finally graduate and focus on my mental health. Oh my God, like hearts in the chat for Sarah, and I feel that's so hard. I'm in the exact same boat. I'm just like, so friggin' just gotta get through the grind. Need the break. Can't imagine how hard it's to simultaneously stream. It's been pretty taxing. Especially since like you really get punished when you fall out of it, and like there's like definitely one of the harder streams I had, and I'm really kicking myself for it now, was I was streaming and I was like watching Heem stream and I quit off of it, and something in the back of my brain was like, man, you might get raided by Heem today. I don't know why, but I just felt that. But I also had a really bad stream that day. Like only Max was in the chat. It was like streaming to one person. And when that happens, like it's kind of a tough situation, because if you keep streaming at one, then you're lowering your stats so far that like you disappear from algorithms and shit. But you don't have the opportunity to like get rated or whatever, like, or get new chatters or like, you know, fix it. So I'm feeling it. I'm getting to hour 2. I'm like, Heem hasn't rated me. I feel like shit. I really got to eat. Like, I don't feel good. I end stream and I go to Heem's and he's like, okay, oh yeah, let's go raid Be Weird. Why isn't it working? And he just got raided by like Bad Hombre, or I just learned about this guy, Rad Hombre. I don't know his name. Bad Rad Hombre. Okay. So it was a fat stack of like 150 people I think I would like genuinely jive with. And yeah, just like seconds, missed it by seconds. And the next, Heem, because he's such a sweetheart, actually did end up raiding me like the next week with like 50 people at the end of his stream, which is a bit more like normal for him. And then he quits forever, and he's the only person who's raided me. So it's like, it was like an actual opportunity of 150 people. I don't know what that's like. I've been running poetry slams for like 6 years. The most we've ever had was like our last show with like 50 people in the room. And that's something that, and I'm probably pushing that up. It was like 40 people. And that's something like that I feel I can put my name on, because I did so much of the organizing. And 150 people, honestly, is like, yeah, that's an incredible opportunity to sell yourself to a bunch of people on this platform. So that's my memory for Heem. So now I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna poach his audience now. What was his time slot? Let's smoke weed on stream and invite viewers on to play one arm cook.
So Trump told people to move boxes to his residence at the property.
That was my story.
And
I hope you liked it.
It gets worse.
It gets worse, everybody.
It's all on video. That description of events was corroborated by the security camera footage, which showed people move.
Oh my God. Sorry. A cool dude in chat literally says Alex Jones is live on Steven Crowder YouTube right now, and I missed that? Bro, thank you. Is he actually though? Holy shit, what the?
During the election,
oh my God.
He caused threats to our election officials. I didn't contest the 2020 Texas election. I didn't even cover that. Project Veritas did. I should have covered it more. The point is that I'm now the whipping boy, or the reason America doesn't trust the government, or the reason that...
Yo, only the best content here, only the greatest stuff. Invite a friend, follow, subscribe.
American people don't trust the media. And now the Secretary of State of Texas is talking about we may have to go after Alex Jones because he caused threats on election officials. They have no statements. They don't have me saying be violent. I didn't even probably ever even talk about the Texas election other than saying I don't think Beto, was as close as he said he was to Ted Cruz. So this is the absolute next level garbage and propaganda. In fact, overhead shot. I want to show people this. Texas
Overhead
Secretary
shot.
of State Alex Jones unleashed hell on our election people. That's the Hill. Here's another one. Republican Texas election chief blasts nuts, peddling 2020 conspiracy theories, zooms in on Alex Jones. So just like they're suing everybody that questions election fraud or mail-in ballots, they never even sued me because I wasn't one of the main proponents of questioning the election like some of the more prominent people were who really got out there. I did have questions. It's my right to do it. But they're now just circling back going, okay, we just got this verdict. So now we're going to say Alex Jones made people question the elections. So now if you slip on a banana peel, or now if your carburetor breaks down, or maybe you get cancer, it's Alex Jones's fault. So they're
most cars
setting
are
the
fuel
precedent.
injected now, but yes, the point remains.
Well,
thanks for
you know
correcting
what
him.
I mean. That's why it's going to break down. It's an old car. It's an old carburetor.
Exactly. You have the OJ Bronco, not the new one that also breaks down. Hey, did you have a video you wanted to show, or is it us? Because we have trial highlights and we have the verdict being read, but I was told that you had a clip that you wanted to play when you came on. Do I have that
Yes,
right?
Stephen, I really appreciate you, first off, having me on, having the courage to defend free speech. Let me actually get this out, and I'm sorry if I'm annoying. There's just so much here, and a lot of other points we haven't gotten to yet that I hope.
No, you're not annoying at all. I just want to make sure that I was told that you had a clip or a video.
Yes, let me describe this clip for you. Let me describe this clip. Okay, there's dozens of these in Texas and Connecticut. We have a compilation reel that's about 30 minutes long of them in front of the juries and at press conferences saying, take Alex Jones out. Never let him rebuild his platform again. And once we take him out, we're going to take out all the right-wing disinformation operatives like Tucker Carlson, and the list goes on and on. So this is the weaponization where they sue you in Democrat jurisdictions, where they default you, claiming that you didn't give them evidence. They tell the jury you're guilty, and then the jury decides how guilty after you've been demonized. So that's just what happened in Connecticut. So here they are yesterday, just a small clip at the press conference. Chris Maddy, the former federal prosecutor, up there, who had this kept controlled jury that was told I was guilty, and then he says, we don't want money from Alex Jones because I'm in bankruptcy.
Well, Alex, if it's in the clip, we can just watch the clip and let him say. How long is it?
Give us the clip, baby.
Is it a minute? Is it 2 minutes? Just so I have an idea.
39 seconds.
39 seconds. All right, I want to run this, and then, no, you're not annoying at all. This is important, and we're going to spend as much time as we need to. I know you're busy, but this is important stuff, and I talked about it in the Cold Open Today show.
I appreciate you.
When you're ready, just roll. I guess you're rolling it from his end.
No, we'll roll it from our end then. Go ahead and roll it, guys.
All right.
Oh, my God.
But we will be at it as long as it takes. And if you're out there right now and you're one of Alex Jones's audience members and you're giving him money, I just want you to know that based on the jury's verdict today, it's not a very good bet. And to go back to what Robbie Parker said, all Alex Jones does is take from you, exploit you, lie to you, feed your fears and your anxieties and your mistrust. And the only person that benefits in that equation is him. Well, that stops. That's stopping today, thanks to the courage of these families. Thank you very much.
Good job.
All right, so what he just said there is, we don't want money from Alex Jones. And I want to explain to listeners. What? We're going to appeal this.
Then they ask for money.
It's 100% going to get overturned.
Then they ask for money. We don't want the $900 million from Alex Jones, damn it. You can make that payable to cash.
Absolutely. So
what's the spin here?
If I can, I'm chomping at the bit because there's so many angles to this, Stephen.
So many angles.
Number one, I don't have $3 million cash in my company and my personal stuff. I have enough to operate and pay the bills and legal. I got a nice house, got decent cars, but I don't worship things. So them trying to take money away from me means nothing, and it'll actually make me work harder to expose them. I'd work for free exposing them, so they're never going to silence me without killing me or putting me in prison. And so that which doesn't kill me only makes me stronger. But they specifically say over and over again, they want me taken off the air. They want me bankrupt. Okay, so we're in Chapter 5, Chapter 11, Subchapter 5 bankruptcy. That isn't liquidation. It's where we do a plan to the federal government. We say, okay, you can have the future profits towards all these lawsuits in the future in a 5-year plan. And there's not much profit around here, so my crew stays hired. We stay on air. It becomes a zombie organization is what they call it, because now any profit, but they're not allowed to fire people or do all that stuff. The operation continues on, the listeners support it, and then whatever extras there, they get paid. That's in 2 years at least, even if this isn't overturned on appeal. So they announce it's the end of Alex Jones, it's all over. It's all more hype, more fraud, more disinformation. So that's what they just did here. And I have more clips of them specifically saying,
can I ask you a question,
want
Alex?
to take him out.
And I'm not trying to cut you off, but some of these questions are just because it's hard for me to find the truth, the answers on it. I know we talked about the cap. We talked about the cap in Texas, right? On I believe it's is it punitive damages?
Yes.
Is there a cap in Connecticut, or are you, unless it is overturned on appeal, are you on the hook for the hundreds of millions of dollars?
Good question. Actually, a good question.
The short answer is they lie and say I owe $50 million in Texas. It's about 5.6. There are caps. It's in the state law. They can't overturn it.
Right.
It's different in Connecticut. The unfair trade practices, or Cutmar, however they call it, that is unlimited, and that is up for the judge to decide. Unlimited. So she's going to come back next week and probably hit me with $1 billion more.
Hell yeah,
so
Truck, yeah.
All the other ones do have caps, but because there's 15 plaintiffs, They're all capped at, I forget the number, like $4 million. So $10 million is more money than I can get them.
Of course.
$50 million is more. $1 billion. It's all a joke at this point. It's like saying, we're going to cut you into 20 million pieces. Well, if you cut me in 5 pieces, I'm going to die.
Right.
So they're like, we're gonna drop 25 nuclear bombs on Alex Jones's house. And I'm like, I think 1 nuclear bomb would probably kill me.
Probably.
So
This
we're
is
gonna
like
shoot
the pound of
20
flesh
million
thing.
bullets into you instead of 5 bullets. So
He's like,
this
they
is
want
all
10,000
overkill. It's just the
pounds of
left
flesh.
having a temper tantrum. They want to scare everybody else and get a bunch of other lawyers to file lawsuits to come after all the conservatives and all the nationalists and all the patriots. And I really appreciate you letting me get that out there because it's so frustrating to be kind of only have my show that has a big audience, but it's compartmentalized because of censorship. It's very hard to actually get the truth out there.
No, it's not just censorship,
so people
Alex.
understand.
It's not just censorship. It's cowardice. You and I have had conversations, obviously off air, where I would say I wouldn't say called you on that, but I've said I don't agree with this. I don't like that. Remember, I told you. I remember early on the show saying I don't like that you sometimes stir up infighting with conservatives. I remember you saying, you know what, I used to do that more, and I've decided the left is a more important enemy. We've had very strong disagreements. I felt compelled to have you on because some of the biggest figures in our movement, who, by the way, agreed with all of some of your quote unquote conspiracy theories that I thought were incorrect, they didn't have you on. It is censorship.
Wow.
And it's cowardice from people on the right. And by the way, I've experienced that too. I've experienced that for jokes that then people on the right will take out of context. So my issue is not so much with the left being the left, right? It's like being mad that a crocodile bites you. I'm mad with people on the right who aren't doing it. Let me ask you, Alex, really, point blank.
How
I know
is
you talk
it?
about
I
appeals.
don't know. I don't know.
How scared are you?
I don't know, Carroll.
Right now.
I am way more scared about the direction the country's going in. If they admit this is a formula for everybody. I mean, while the right wing laughs, some of them, and says, "Oh, it's just Alex Jones," they're on every channel saying we're coming after everybody now with this model, and they've even got the Republican Secretary of State in Texas saying we want to come after Republicans that question election fraud. Give me a break. So you have the rhinos, the neocons, the rabid left allied together against the populist uprising of nationalist Americans who are peacefully trying to take our country back. So I'm way more concerned about nuclear war. I'm way more concerned about financial collapse. I mean, here's a good point.
Oh, yeah,
Stephen.
we're going to watch that for sure. Yeah.
Quite frankly,
that's next up, Patrick's time.
The way inflation's going, the way it accelerates towards Weimar Republic or Zimbabwe.
Also very funny.
In 10 years, there's such inflation, $1 billion will be like $1,000.
Yeah.
I mean, at the current rate we're at here, so
be like pesos.
No, I'm not scared.
Inflation,
I am disgusted, and I really feel proud of myself because I've told the truth about this. I've said when I was wrong. They have created this whole synthetic identity for me.
Anyone who says Ukrainian
the straw man,
is like...
and then they sat there and had to lie to a jury and suppress the truth and tell them I was guilty and rig this kangaroo court so I myself can hold my head tall. But I am in general very concerned for my children, for the country in the future because of the rabid acceleration into total and complete corruption.
I know you have some other things you want to hit. I don't even know if we can probably show the clips on YouTube. But Gerald here, I know has a question for you. You can't see him, but he's champing at the bit. Gerald, yeah, please.
Yeah, so you said earlier that this is going to be overturned. Why do you think that it will be overturned? Not that you just have kind of this faith in that that's going to happen, but what are you guys arguing, if you can reveal that to us on how it's going to be overturned?
Hard question.
Well, that's an excellent question. I have talked to dozens of very well-known constitutional lawyers. I can tell you Norm Pattis is a very well-known, successful lawyer around the country. He's talked to current and former judges in Connecticut and in New York, federal and state, that say this is the most insane craziness they've ever seen. The judge said in open court, I said this months ago because she'd done rules in limine and told us what I couldn't say. She said in court, can't say you're innocent. Can't say you barely ever talked about these people. Can't say you didn't make money off of it.
It's not a criminal court,
Can't
my guy.
Be political, but they could hold up magazines I put out exposing Obama, but then we couldn't respond back to it. She literally tied our hands.
That's how court works.
And did this. So either America's gone and completely done, or in Texas and in Connecticut, if I have the money for the appeals, that's why they want to bankrupt us right now, because they are so scared that if there's any justice left at the Texas or the Connecticut Supreme Court or the U.S. Supreme Court, they've got to overturn this because the deep state, the ambulance chaser brigade are openly saying they're coming after everyone with this, just like when I got censored.
So are you saying that you think the people in the appeals court will see the gravity of it? Is that what you're saying, why you believe it'll be overturned?
But we're talking about Alex Jones right now.
I don't know if the fix is in that high, but I know that they've got their pound of flesh, they've demonized me, they brought back up Sandy Hook, they've made a bunch of money for their charities, they got $73 million from Remington. I mean, these dead kids are cash machines for these lawyers. Okay?
Bro.
And now nobody knows who Adam
my
Lanza is that killed the kids. They only know Alex Jones.
How could you?
And so, I'm sorry, what was the question, Stephen? I apologize.
No, I think you answered the question. Well, I think Gerald really wants to know, why do you believe it will be overturned? Do you think it's because they wanted to make an example of you, and then when it comes down to the actual constitutional law, it won't hold water? Is that why?
They're trying to get
absolutely.
To the
I think that they have to, or the country's over. I mean, you have to understand, when I say kangaroo court, when I say show trial,
it's the
this has never before been done. A default's when you just don't even show up. We gave them everything, exhaustive, and then they let them use the discovery that they said we didn't give them to the jury. They could put on evidence. We couldn't challenge the evidence, and I couldn't testify. That's why I didn't testify when it was time for our quote case. It was only a hearing and damages. The judge found me guilty. Again, since when? Well, the judge knows best. They've never done that before. They can't do that. You know, if I was caught bank robbing,
the spin,
or something, and I ran off to another country, then you can have default judgments to say, take my house, because I'm not there. There's video of me robbing the bank. I've left the country. They can sue. They can get the house. That's a default judgment. I was there. I participated. I did the depositions. I had my crew members go there. I spent millions of dollars on lawyers. But because there was no case there, they were forced to default because they decided I was the supervillain and they wanted to set this precedent. So yes, all the lawyers agree that if we file a good appeal with the hundreds of bad things they did, that it must absolutely be either partially or totally overturned. And if it isn't overturned, no, I'm not scared, Stephen, because I've said on air the truth. I have less than $1.5 million in my bank account. Sounds like a lot to the average working guy, and I get it. But with all my bills and crew and all this, that's on empty. My company has less than $1 million in it right now.
He's crying
and
poor.
That's to buy product and pay payroll and fund our operation. So I never did this to make money. They had all these fake numbers. They had all our finances. They said he made $61 million last year. Our gross was $61 million. I paid myself $200,000 last year. It's all in the bankruptcy court. They know it. They know it's true. Was there a year that I paid myself $12 million?
Watch Republicans
Absolutely.
be like,
the year
he's a
of
populist.
the divorce with my ex-wife, 6 years ago, thank God it was the Trump era. For the first time ever, we had all this extra money right when she divorces me. It goes through the process, and the court made me pay her close to $10 million to, quote, buy her out of the company.
So you did make $12 million.
So the 1 year, God came through. The 1 year,
awesome.
Because usually I make about $1 million, $2 million a year. But honest with my audience. And after all the bills and stuff and legal crap, it's gone. Of course. Okay, but I don't do it for money. The 1 year I made $12 million. God came through magically. The money came in to then buy my ex-wife out of the company. So again, they think. So it doesn't
Alex,
matter.
can I point something out here?
$1 trillion judgment.
I want to say something here that's important because I see you have. And we all struggle with this, right? Where you're saying, because I know that people think that sounds like a lot of money. And it's sad that you even have to say, no, you don't do this just for the money, but you absolutely deserve to earn a living if you have millions of people who are listening and the amount of work that you put into it. I understand.
God really came through for his wife.
Conservatives are the only ones, surprisingly, the people who support free enterprise, where we feel like because our audience is largely working class, you want to say, look, don't get mad at me because I make this money. Because there's a huge difference between 1 year making $12 million and a several $100 million judgment. You know who makes $12 million every single year? Colbert, Fallon. No one cares. And I just hope that people on the right
these are
don't
major
use
stars.
That as well, you know what? Oh, maybe he'll
Top
go
of their
crying
game
to his millions. That is not the point. And just for some
$12 million
baseball, for people who don't necessarily know, I want to corroborate some of what you're saying.
It's fucking funny.
Yeah, you can't prove
He's
that
really
you didn't
trying to
make
spin this.
money off of Sandy Hook.
Million.
Just like I can't prove that I didn't make money off of that the guy who was fired from Vox, who started the Vox adpocalypse. Why? Because this enterprise makes the only way that we make profit is people signing up because they want to hear what I have to say. And sometimes,
yeah, Colbert and Fallon. Like, I'm not saying they're good comedians. I'm saying they're at the top of their game. I'm saying when you look at the industry, who's making the most money? We're talking the late night shows.
Sometimes what I have to say involves a specific
I don't care if the
person.
ratings growing
Of
up or
course,
down.
It would be hundreds of thousands of people if you were to look over the course
not
of
a
our
nobody.
entire program. But that gets pulled in, and they say, you can't say that you didn't make money
That's
off
cool.
of
They're still the top of their
whatever
game.
story you covered here. We've
What
had
are you
that
trying to
happen
say
on the
here?
website.
Absolutely. Well, let
We've
me
had
be clear,
people,
Stephen.
just to give you an example, just really quickly, we've had someone on the website sue because they say, well, this actually, we don't like this article that went up, and we want you to prove that you haven't made money off of it. And it's like, well, that article maybe had a few 100,000 views or something like that. I don't remember. I'm just giving you an example. I don't remember this specific example. And they were trying to say, so you make money. You make money off of this.
Hundreds
Your
of
whole
thousands of
company
views.
is making money off. No.
Sure, that's how
they
that
don't
works.
let you parse it. That's the lie. Because you were broadcasting, and the broadcast always makes money, and even when you were covering Sandy Hook. That's why they say, if you can't prove the separation of all the streams or any potential revenue generated while you were discussing the Sandy Hook issue, then you can't say that you didn't profit off of Sandy Hook. That's the argument. People need to understand it because we all struggle with it as business owners.
I
Or maybe
totally
you just
agree, and I
divide
couldn't say
up
it better.
the
In fact,
earnings.
when you said it better. And this is the most important point I'm going to make here. And I got a few documents, if I can show them to you, that are really important that tie this all together.
The documents.
This is a major project for 6 years, 2 years before they sued me, and then now the last 4.
That's how
with
long it's
literally
taken to hold them to account.
hundreds of articles a week, sometimes thousands. Every major news channel, from HBO to PBS to Fox, even attacking
Patrick's
me.
time, you're not understanding. Someone can be at the top of their game and be declining in popularity. That doesn't mean they're not at the top of the pyramid of the industry. It's still some of the major networks. You're really stuck on this. I have no idea what the problem is here.
By an order of at least 10 magnitude.
Again, time and place.
If I can have an overhead shot here. Damn, I wish the survivors of Epstein received $965 million. Exactly. Good
Holy
point on
shit!
Twitter.
Yo, everybody, quick tweet. We could live rent-free in Alex Jones's... We could get onto Colbert's show just by tweeting about him.
Eliza,
quick.
Think about that real quick.
Why the triangle?
We still don't know the names. Exactly. We still don't know the names of the Johns. Here's another good point. Purdue Pharma, that knew OxyContin would addict people and kill them by the thousands, have to pay $634.5 million on the 10+ billion they made profit in the
First Amendment allows for people to question any official narrative. Sure, Patrick's time, but he wasn't doing that. He wasn't just asking questions. And if that's what you think was happening, I can't help you. I'm sorry, man. He led a very long campaign and specifically made specific statements that, weren't true. Yo, Lucid 3308, welcome to the stream. You're a little weirder. Nice to see you. Hey.
OxyContin case. Alex Jones killed no one, ordered to pay $965 million for Sandy Hook lies.
And I don't think anyone is blowing somebody in an alley because of their addiction to colloidal silver.
Absolutely, they're not.
Colloidal. See, again, you got to know like the inside track to understand the joke. Holy shit!
A banking executive responsible for the 2008 financial crisis was $67.5 million. Jury says Alex Jones pays $965 million. Here's another one. Yes, from a lawyer, Viva Fry. Yes, except for OJ was found guilty of the actual deaths of 2 victims.
I'm not sure I can put that on. After ban.video, it might not be cool on YouTube. YouTube will probably clap me for putting that up. It might be good information, but this is better.
A trial, that was a civil trial, whereas Alex Jones was found guilty of making false statements about people who were murdered by someone else without a trial. So OJ pays $33.5 million. I pay $900+ million, and it goes on and on.
OJ was
so what's
innocent.
going to
It's
happen?
Norm Pattis, Alex, lawyer.
Absolutely, he was found innocent by the
okay, but
criminal,
Alex is live
guilty
right
by
now.
the civil.
This is
so
Alex
when are
himself
they
live
going to
right
sue
now.
MSNBC for some of the lies that were done? I want $1 million. My feelings are hurt by their lies, and it just goes on from there. But those are some really important points.
No, I think these are important points. I think we actually have some questions
your
from
tweets
we have some
do
questions
matter,
from the audience.
chatters.
If you're okay taking a couple, and then we'll go to Mug Club.
I want to take them. Can we play that one other clip that's about a minute and a half long of the lawyer saying, "Shut him down, silence
Here you go.
him"?
Yeah, do you have
He's
it? Do
gonna
you want to play it from your
there
end?
you go. Here's
We
the
have
lawyer.
it. We're going to go ahead and roll that clip now. Here it is.
Thanks, brother.
It's probably the clip you wanted.
That with your verdict, you not only take Alex Jones' platform that he talks about away, I ask that you make certain he can't rebuild the platform. That's what matters. Take him out of this discourse, of this misinformation, of this peddling of lies, and make sure he can't do it again.
No more discourse.
That is punishment. That is deterrence.
But somewhere out there right now is another family getting their kids ready for school.
Can't be getting away with this.
Fixing their lunches, going to work, thinking about their kid. And there's going to be a day when that child doesn't come home from school. And we know it, and it's sad, and that's reality. And the question's going to be, where is Alex Jones when that happens?
You know, just saying that doesn't make it true, right?
He's in the studio?
You can say
Get ready to
it.
pounce? Or will you stop him?
Someone get him that infomercial spray hair.
That's going to be in your hands. And when we get all done with all the evidence, we're going to come back and we're going to ask this stuff. Because that's what justice is in this case.
Justice.
And there's many other clips of them saying, we want him off air. We don't want money for the plaintiffs. We want to silence his future speech. So even a murderer goes and does their jail time, gets out in 20 years. But no, they're saying keep him deplatformed, bankrupt him, shut him down, and don't send him money because we don't want money to the plaintiffs because they don't want me to have money for the appeals.
He wanted to play that.
Because they know there's a 98% chance
I know.
this crap gets overturned, Stephen.
Well, you know what else they're doing? This is something else they're doing that people don't fully discuss.
You have to have compassion
is
for
they
them.
want to make other people
fault.
afraid to even work with or for you. Makes
That's
it impossible for you to hire. Right? That's what they tried to do. They tried to do that with me to a lesser scale. It's harder to do
Also,
with a comedian
women are
because
not
they were
having
trying to
sex
run
with
jokes.
conservatives.
But what they're trying to do is also make it impossible for you to even recoup these losses.
Wonder why.
I mean, we do have to remember, it's not just Alex Jones. You have many employees there. So, some of them are great. Some of them are assholes. But a lot of them are great. But this is the thing: is they want to make sure we all have them, right? I have some here. The Yakuza, he pisses me off half the time, but I love him. They want to make it impossible for you to do. But this is your livelihood. Now, I want to take, if we can, I'd like to, and that is bone chilling.
Yes, sir. I got all the time in the world. Really appreciate you having me.
Okay, so we'll take a couple of chats here, and then I'll have to go to the bathroom. I've been drinking Gatorade. I had a horrible stomach virus. Be careful out there right now. It's going through Texas like a buzzsaw. Tokunawa, let's grab a couple of questions from the audience here that we usually only do on Mug Club, but it's a special occasion.
Yeah, our Mug Club viewer Jerry has a question for you, Alex. What do you feel was an appropriate penalty for what you said?
Wow. Good question.
Nothing. It's better that
such an asshole.
10 guilty men go free than one innocent man be prosecuted or persecuted. They got rid of my due process. The judge found me guilty. They lied about it all. They hyped up what I said. They exaggerated it. I never sent people to their houses. It's a lie. They're setting a precedent to steal your rights, not just your rights to listen to what you want to listen to and make your own decisions. They're literally setting this up to come after the general public. An FBI agent that I never saw, never covered, never said his name till he sued me. He admitted it on the stand, was given $90 million because some people on the internet thought it didn't happen. I didn't create the story that it didn't happen. I covered it.
Right.
And so a man's getting $90 million.
That's the problem. The problem is that he covered it like it was real.
It doesn't exist. He's getting $90 million of this made-up mad money, this monopoly money, when I never said his damn name. Folks, that's tyranny. That's dangerous.
And also, it's important when you'll get a lot of people on the left saying, oh, the right has a double standard because what about Nick Sandmann and CNN? What about Kyle Rittenhouse? They said his name. The president of the United States had an advertisement, had an ad that went out that associated Kyle Rittenhouse specifically with white supremacy. They said Nick Sandmann was mocking somebody, this poor Native American, Nathan Phillips, as I prefer my Native Americans to be called. Nathan Phillips. They said, yeah, he was mocking Nathan Phillips and he was stirring up the crowd. They did call out these people by name, and these people had to hire security. And these people had to go into hiding. There is a difference. You did not do that. And they did it repeatedly. They did it all day and all night. Not to mention what preceded Kyle Rittenhouse was the media drumming up actual hatred and
that's right.
violence.
And they never showed any evidence I sent people to harass people or anything. Of course it was always what somebody else did.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas what happened is Kamala Harris
blameless.
said they're not going to stop, and they should not stop when answering riots. She said they should not stop the riots.
Even the
mayor of
chatters are
Seattle
asking.
said, no, this is a summer of love. We support what they're doing. And then the media said Kyle Rittenhouse is a white supremacist who killed innocent protesters. They didn't mention the fact that it was a pedophile with a raging erection in a hospital bag. Let's Tokunawa, grab one more question, and then we'll take it to Mug Club. And when we go to Mug Club, I'm gonna have to go. I've been drinking Gatorade all morning. Go relieve myself, Alex. But Gerald will take the chair for like 2 minutes. One last question here, Tokunawa.
Okay, Mug Club viewer Taylor Kohler wants to know, if people only knew one true thing about you, Alex, among all these lies, what would it be?
That was going to be my last question.
Wow. absolute.
I mean, look, I'm a real person. I've got a lot of information. Sometimes I'm a little bit obnoxious because I'm trying to get through it all, like here today. And I really appreciate Stephen and the crew being so gracious, so I can have a place to tell the truth. And I appreciate your courage because you do get attacked for having me on. And just this is our rights being taken. This is a Hollywood production. I'm not saying Sandy Hook didn't happen. I'm saying the production of what I supposedly did and how big it became. And this huge
Thread that
event.
needle, boy.
I'm not the Sandy Hook guy. I'm the guy that wrote the #1 best-selling book in the world, The Great Reset and the War for the World. That's why the globalists hate me, is because I'm exposing their corporate worldwide tyranny. I'm exposing groups like PayPal that are back, by the way, saying, if we don't like what you say, we're going to fine you $2,500. I'm opposing their authoritarianism. I'm a populist. I'm a champion of the people. And folks can actually hear the real Alex Jones at Infowars.com, Infowars.com/show, or band.video. Go see the real live show. Go see the archives. Go see the guest. Go find out what I'm actually saying instead of little bitty twisted, edited excerpts that the corporate media puts out. And understand, the globalists see InfoWars is the flag they want to capture. They are more obsessed with it than anything else out there right now, because when the globalists tune in, they get scared, because I know what I'm talking about when it comes to the mechanics of the New World Order.
Final question, then we're going to go to Mug Club and take some more chats.
Don't encourage.
What's the next step?
Don't encourage Patrick.
What are you doing here next, Alex?
Don't you do
Game
it?
plan.
Well, that's a really great question. My biggest enemy is myself. I am absolutely exhausted. I'm burnt out. I drink too much. I haven't smoked in 14 years under the stress. I took up smoking again.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's fine.
Going out and watching comedy and hanging out with Joe Rogan. There's a lot of cigarette smoking going on.
Yeah, I don't think that's cigarette smoke.
Doesn't think it's.
No, I've done a little bit of the marijuana smoke too, but I don't smoke a lot of it. But yeah, I smoke pot like once a month or something. Usually when I'm at a comedy club or go see a movie. Every time I hang out with Joe, we smoke some pot.
Smoking pot.
But so sometimes I guess twice a week. But I haven't hung out with Joe that much lately. I've been too busy. But there's some days we've gone out like twice a week and get stoned. But a little bit of fun stuff there.
He's
but
just a regular guy.
Long story
everybody.
short, I need to take
your
some
game
time off.
plan, Alex. Ask your hobbies.
Anyways. Well, I mean, it's a little bit of a name drop to all the trendy liberals that think they're trendy and think they're cool and love the police state and hate free speech. I'm the real rebel. InfoWars is the vanguard. So is Steven Crowder. We are the rebels. We are the outlaws. We are 1776. Wow. We are the counterculture, not them. And they can't stand that. And so that's what I want people to know. We are the counterculture. Steven Crowder is the counterculture. The listeners and viewers of these shows that support independent media are the future of not just America, but the world. And people can find out what all the stinks about at Infowars.com.
So it sounds to me like what you're saying, your next step is, and Alex, you know I have a lot of love for you, but sometimes it is tough to get you to answer a question. I think you're saying
right. Here's
your
the
next
problem.
step is you need to get some rest, is what you're saying, right? Your game plan is some rest,
Even
recoup,
Crowder
and come back.
doesn't buy it.
I'm more
his bullshit.
Listen, I'm more ADHD when I'm totally exhausted. So I've done a lot of interviews, and I was up till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Crowder's
I apologize.
I gotta pee.
My brain's gone right now. So yes, I realize
get to the point,
this is what's coming next. I realize they want to take me out of the game. And I realize that I'm never going to quit now because they want to silence me, because this is a battle of wills and I know it's the right thing to do. But I also understand that if I take myself out of the game by being fried or burnt out, they win. So I am going to, in the next few months, do something I never do. I'm going to take off a week a month, starting at the end of this month, November and December. I may take off 2 weeks in December. I want my listeners to understand why I've got to do it, because I've got to rest. I've got to stop drinking. I've got to stop smoking. I got to go to church to recharge my batteries. I've got to take, my daughter camping. I've got to, go camping and shooting with my son and my other daughters. And so if you're asking what's happening, I'm going to recharge my batteries, get back to family, get back to God, and come back in 2023 harder than ever.
You know what? That sounds like a plan, because a lot of people know this has been a year and a half for me since the surgery. There have been some complications that people will never fully know about. And you need to,
you think
you
he'd be a good gospel singer?
You want to take care of. But you know what? You just mentioned
something. Is that
something.
the joke?
Hey, when's Rogan going to have you on his show? Why aren't you doing his show today?
Virulently racist.
I don't want to be mean to Joe. Joe told me, last time I was on the show was 2 years ago, and it was one of the biggest shows he ever did with
Joe Rogan.
Who was on the show with me? It was a great comedian, really funny. Yeah, Tim Dillon. And Joe's like, yeah, we'll have you on a couple months. And then, it's pretty obvious what's going on. Just a little too much heat for Joe to have me on, which is fine. He had courage about the vaccines. He's had courage about censorship. He's been criticizing the power structure, but he's not as hardcore as Steven Crowder, and I'll just say it. But at least he overall defends free speech, and I just don't think Joe can, handle it.
This is
We
literally.
were out at dinner about a month ago. Last
George
time I hung
Orwell's
out with him.
1969
And
Animal
it's
Crossing.
his pet peeve not to bring it up. And I just said, man, it really helped me with this upcoming court case because the whole media is against me. If I could get on there and explain things. And he just said, Alex, you got, there's too much craziness going on. Let's just get through this. We'll talk about it later. So I'm not really worried about
Too
it.
crazy for
Obviously,
Joe.
I'm the big interview he'd want. He even said, listen, you're like nuclear weapons.
That's awesome.
It's a big deal to have you on, but I'm not worried about it. It's really a question for Joe. Because
No,
at the end
I
of the
know.
day,
I'm just asking because you talk about how you're hanging out with him, and not only if not him, he has a bunch of friends who could have you on. He has
why
a
we
whole
need
podcast
socialism,
network.
Patrick time.
I don't really have that. You've been to our studio. It's really just me. I'd love to grow it eventually with other people and be able to throw more support behind folks. But right now it's me behind these desks.
On the courage scale, on the courage scale, Steven Crowder's a 10, Alex Jones is a 10, and Joe Rogan's an 8. And I'll take an 8 all day over our enemies that are at a 0.
Of course.
And so I'm nothing but thankful to Joe for all the heat he's taken having me on.
Right.
And
they just called.
And so I totally understand it. And you know what? I don't want to give out any inside baseball here.
He just called Joe Rogan an 8 on the
courage
courage
I'll tell you
scale.
off air if you want, but it's private. The very same people trying to silence me. You know what? I'm not going to get into it on air. But there's been some real harassment of Joe and stuff that's gone on.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know that's happened with him, and people are, and I'm on that. I'm on that list as well. So I know we all deal with it, and it's not, that's why I say for people out there who are watching, if you're listening right now, by the way, on YouTube, please hit the like button, hit the share button, leave a comment below because you won't find
subscribe.
it in the algorithm. And I do ask that you join up at Mug Club. I do ask that you go head over, or if you want to.
This is an information war.
It absolutely
People should be
is. We're at war,
flooding you
everybody.
with funding. You're one of the only professional people doing top flight comedy and analysis. I mean, it's
Ideas
better than the
are
production
bullets.
on like these late shows that have giant budgets, 20 times your budget.
mine's
People
a gun.
should flood you with support, and more importantly, word of mouth, because I know that's the real currency we all want, is to override the censors and to win
of
the
course he's
info
more
wars.
radical than Joe
Absolutely.
Rogan.
Everybody should support Steven Crowder, who's got the 500-pound testicles.
Just joking, Patrick's time.
Joe's only got 400-pound ones.
Well,
Okay,
well,
look, I admire Joe's balls. Okay,
Wow. Oh,
but Steven, yours are bigger, and even more juicy.
Well, gosh, you did say you've been
wow.
drinking too much, and part of that has to do with the fact
Juicy
that I have
balls,
the
you say?
under the cabinet microwave. I've learned my
getting a
lesson.
little-
All right, hey,
little
Alex.
No, I made a gay joke, so it goes viral, Steven. It's
That's why
funny.
he did
Yeah,
it.
and you said you have to recharge your batteries. Alex Jones is a robotic homosexual.
The
all right, look,
homoeroticisms.
Alex Jones talks
because
about
it's
Steven
popular.
Crowder's juicy balls.
Yeah, Alex, tell me more.
Oh gosh, yeah. When do I get my 900 million?
Oh, I'm getting a little.
All right, look.
little
If
right
you
in
have to
the
take
collar.
you want to both take. We're going to go to Mug Club here. You want to both take it. You probably need do you need a bathroom break? I've been going for 2 hours.
Well, here's the thing. Great one. I have my own show in 12 minutes, so let's take a 2-minute break.
Okay, you know what?
Try
We
to
won't take
poach
a
his
break.
audience.
You know what? We won't take a break. We'll just go. We'll take 30
No, no
seconds.
break.
We'll go to Mug Club.
No break. Go straight to Mug Club.
Infowars.com. We'll ask a few more questions from the audience and have you go
I
do
can
your
go
show.
right up to the start of my show. I'm going to right up to the start of my show. So
No,
we
you need a couple minutes. But just remember,
trying to
everything,
poach
even
each
after
other's
this,
audiences.
everything's on air and live. So
Holy
that's totally fine.
shit,
Kids, don't do this at school. Don't do this at school.
God.
Infowars.com. Don't visit it.
Right.
I can't
Don't visit
even.
it.
Don't visit and don't do that unless you want to look really cool. Okay,
It's
YouTube piss off.
awesome. Actually tried to poach each other's audiences at the last second. That was freaking funny. Free speech, everybody. It's the freest place. Your brain is tiny, Patrick. Yeah. Not tiny Yoda. That was incredibly entertaining, I've got to say. I haven't laughed so hard in a while. This is what I missed about streaming. I'm just like, I'm here for it, you know? I'm actually here to like see what's popping off. That was absurd. Okay, we've got actually, like, let's say an hour before the January 6th committee is gonna go live. How do you want to fill that up? I think there's a really, we could take a little short break from politics. Oh man, oh geez, I forgot about this story. I kind of want to take a quick look at this. It's like 9 minutes long. It's really big, but it's international, so it's like out there. We also have the verdict watch live for the Parkland shooter trial, but that's something totally separate. But this is a massive leak of military docs reveals Mexico armed cartels surveilled journalists and Zapatistas. And we got Amy Goodman with the story, so you know it's good.
I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. As we look at those leaks, a massive leak of over 4 million confidential documents from the Mexican government has revealed Mexico's military sold hand grenades and tactical equipment to drug cartels. Mexico's Ministry of National Defense was targeted by a group of hackers known as Guacamaya. The leak is one of the biggest in Mexico's history. Documents also show Mexican officials monitored journalists using the Israeli Pegasus spyware and evaded cooperation with the investigation into the disappearance of the 43 students from Ayotzinapa. The leak also shows the Zapatistas are one of the most heavily surveilled resistance groups in Mexico. For more, we go to El Paso, Texas, to reporter Luis Chaparro, whose new piece for Vice is headlined, "Leaked Emails Show Mexico's Military Sold Grenades to Cartels." Luis, welcome to Democracy Now! Lay out what you found. If you could start again, we just didn't have your microphone up. We don't hear you. Make sure you're off mute.
Uh-oh. Leftist audio. Leftist audio, everybody.
Don't hear you.
Come on, guys. You can figure it out.
Can you...
Every second matters. This is so...
Sorry, we don't hear you.
Alex Jones,
somehow
are
you on mute? I think I hear you now.
There we go.
All right, perfect.
Great.
Censorship.
Amy and Juan, thank you for having me, first of all. And yeah, I mean, these massive leaking of documents revealed something that we really suspected was happening, right? Which was this massive participation of the Mexican military with drug cartels, but we just didn't really know to what extent they were actively participating with drug cartels. These data leaking really showed that they were not only selling grenades to drug cartels, but also providing them with tactical equipment, and maybe like the most dangerous part of these link between Mexican military and the cartels was the surveillance they were having on journalists and information they were passing along, but also on Mexican government officials. There was a conversation leaked where a Mexican military member flags a call he oversaw where this cartel member is asking a Mexican official inside the military to track down a target inside one of the Mexican political parties to have a hit on him.
Oh, shit.
And Luis, what's been the response of President Lopez Obrador to these revelations, especially given the fact that his administration has come to rely increasingly on the Mexican military?
I mean, to no surprise, he's downplaying the whole leaking of documents. He has been saying that there's nothing new inside these 4 million emails that came to light about 2 weeks ago. He said that the most important thing in any case inside those documents was details about his health that is downgrading, and apparently he's having heart issues. But honestly, to my opinion, that's the least of the problems.
Oh shit! It's live.
Time they lose, it is somehow illegitimate. Then what is left but violence to determine who should govern?
Those threats were
made
you
repeatedly
teased me. Over the
You
phone,
teased me
in
so
person,
hard. How could
and
you?
Even at the homes
How
of the
could you?
election workers.
I feel so
Witnesses
taken
shared
in.
Story after story.
Okay. Jeez. I'm so sorry, chat. I'm so sorry. Let's finish this story off. I'm so sorry. I got taken in.
He has been saying that there's nothing new inside these 4 million emails that came to light about 2 weeks ago. He said that the most important thing in any case inside those documents was details about his health that is downgrading, and apparently he's having heart issues.
Smokers.
But honestly, to my opinion, that's the least of the problems revealed inside these documents.
And what were some of the most surprising things to you from the revelations?
I think two things. First of all, the obvious revelation that the Mexican military is vulnerable to a group of hackers that literally just used a backdoor to enter the whole server of emails and gather information within very few days that they had access to. So that first of all, that's very revealing and very dangerous, because we're talking about probably the most important institution in Mexico, which is the Sedena, the Mexican Ministry of Defense.
Oh my God.
And second of all, the extent of surveillance the Mexican military is having on journalists, on activists, and of different dissident groups to the current administration, like feminist groups and the Zapatistas movement.
Mexico is the worst place on earth for journalist deaths. The use of the Israeli Pegasus spyware to monitor journalists. Can you talk about that? And also what you learned about the Mexican government's lack of cooperation into the murder of the 43 students at Ayotzinapa.
Yes, definitely. Also, that's revealing from inside these data leaking, the participation of Mexican officials and how they tried to hide their involvement in the killing of these 43 students in Ayotzinapa. That's something that we all knew from journalist investigations. That also led to the other issue that the Mexican military was really surveilling the Mexican press when it came to investigating the killings of 43 students in Ayotzinapa. As you and your public might know, Mexico is really going down, and it's it's one of the worst places to actually be a journalist. And that is not only because of the threat of cartels, but also to the involvement of the Mexican government working with the cartels, passing along information to criminal organizations, but also surveilling and intimidating journalists themselves. From the official government.
And Luis, in a related story, Mexico has filed another lawsuit against 5 U.S.-based firearm dealers, all of them in Arizona, they claim are responsible for fueling the flow of illegal weapons and a surge in murders in Mexico. Could you talk about that lawsuit and the one that preceded it?
Definitely. So this is the second attempt by Mexican government to sue first the U.S. government to no avail, and then some private companies selling or allegedly selling guns to drug cartels. The first attempt to do this was thrown down by a U.S. federal judge. And this is the second attempt, and the Mexican government is now going after just a few companies, particularly in Arizona, where most of the guns used by Mexican drug cartels are coming from. These sue, to my understanding, has very little opportunities to actually go through as the first one. First of all, because the U.S. gun manufacturers have a huge set of resources or legal resources to fight against a sue like this one. And second of all, because I think the target or the goal to these sue is actually to just pay attention to what the U.S. manufacturers are doing, and not only the responsibility of the U.S. government in all the violence currently happening in Mexico, but also to bring light to the responsibility on private companies on this issue.
Everybody's coming after the gun manufacturers.
And investigations that I've seen show that 80% of the guns traced back to the U.S. are coming from shops in Arizona, which is a major corridor for most of the top cartels in Mexico, like the Sinaloa cartel and the Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación.
We have to leave it there, Luis, but we're going to continue our conversation in a post-show.
Oh, it's getting
follow
spicy.
the bus from El Paso of migrants sent to New York. We want to talk about that, and we'll do an interview in Spanish, and we will post it online.
Nice.
By the way, on our website,
Okay,
you can
I think we're
also
gonna move
see our
on.
headlines, read them, and listen to them.
That was like a really big story. It's rare to see, I don't know, that level of coordination. Let's go to what pulled me in before the watch party for January 6th.
About how the of the House in the state of Arizona, Rusty Bowers. This is a state that Joe Biden won by, 10,000 votes. And yet Speaker Bowers testified to the kind of relentless pressure.
Was that about Obama gun running scandal? It could have to do, it might be related to, oh God, what was that called?
Put under. Tell us more about that.
That's right.
Oh man, what
He
was it
faced
called?
pressure from President Trump.
Fast and Furious or something
faced
stupid?
Pressure from
Yeah,
Trump's
called it.
lawyers. And
Same time.
Specifically,
Oh,
Bowers
dumb.
recounted a conversation that he had with one of Trump's lawyers, John.
It didn't seem totally related. If anything, it sounds like the Mexican cartels have figured out how to acquire lots of really powerful guns from America. That sounds like something bigger than just one administration. That's probably guns for drugs. That's a relationship between Mexico and America that runs a bit deeper than, the past 10 years.
Eastman. And in that conversation, Eastman asked Bowers to call a vote in the Arizona legislature so that way they could decertify the state's electors.
Yeah,
and those
John
electors
Eastman.
represent that state's electoral college vote.
Bad man.
Here's what Bowers said in response to Eastman's
We don't stand
request.
John Eastman.
I said, what would you have me do?
This
And he
guy's awesome.
said, just do it and let the court sort it out.
Nice.
And I said, you're asking me to do something that's never been done in history, the history of the United States.
The history.
And I'm going to put my state through
Still no
that
answers.
without sufficient proof.
Yeah, what's your source?
And that's going to be good enough with me? That I would put us through
TruthEagle.net.
that, my state, that I swore to uphold both in Constitution and in law? No, sir.
That guy was so based.
Bowers also told the committee that he faced pressure from Trump and that he repeatedly told Trump that he would not do anything illegal to overturn the election results in his state. Even to this day, Bowers is facing a target on his back from the former president because President Trump put out a statement ahead of the hearing today saying that Bowers is a rhino, a Republican in name only. Trump also said
Witness
that
intimidation.
Bowers told him that he won the election right after November 2020 and that Bowers said that the election was rigged. Now, Congressman Schiff
cow.
asked Bowers about that in his
Holder
testimony
held in
today, and
contempt?
Bowers said, no, all
Was
of that is false, and that he did not say any of that to the president, and that he repeated again and again in his testimony that he would never do anything illegal to overturn Arizona's election results.
And we should add that,
Didn't that play out really
Speaker
weirdly?
Bowers described himself as a conservative Republican. To Lisa now. Lisa, we also learned today that some of this pressure campaign was coming from members of Congress themselves who were pushing election officials to accept what they called alternate slates of electors. Tell us about that.
This is the charge from the committee. In addition to this idea that Laura was talking about, that the president and those around him were pushing states to simply overturn the results and say that he won the popular count in each state. We heard testimony today that the Trump campaign was also trying to push a different idea. Alternate slates of electors, that no matter what the results were in the end, the final tabulation, that they were preparing lists of people who would be the electors, and as many of our viewers know, the ones who cast the final votes in the American presidential system.
Lots of
and
people.
with those electors, there was a question of
Liars are lying, and they will continue lying until you believe the lie.
At one point,
No
way,
it's
only
been
3 months. Today,
Say
stupid A.
Say stupid, eh? Oh, geez. Oh, geez. Holy cow. Thanks so much, Carroll. I appreciate you. That's nice. Yeah, two subs. Let's go.
Got together with got a phone call together with the chairwoman of the Republican.
Stupid day. Stupid day. What's that from? I gotta remember that there's TTS that comes along with the sub and to pause and let it play. I immediately want to thank the chatter.
National Committee, top Republican Party official in the country, and Johnny
Yeah,
Easton,
off time.
a
Lots of
lawyer
people
we've heard
were
so much about. And here's how McDaniel, again, top Republican
Hundreds of
official in the
people
country,
got in charge.
recounts that
Show you one?
conversation about slates of electors.
What did the president say when he called you?
Essentially, he turned the call over to Mr. Eastman, who then proceeded to talk about the importance of the RNC helping the campaign gather these contingent electors in case any of the legal challenges that were ongoing changed the result of any of the states. I think more just helping them reach out and assemble them. But my understanding is the campaign did take the lead, and we just were helping them in that role.
Looks like guns to me.
That's the key portion, that the campaign took the lead. The timing there matters, Judy, and we're asking
While
about
carrying
the timing
his
of that call.
semi-automatic
Was it
handgun.
when all
That
of
was
the
easy.
court cases had
Perfect.
already ended and it was clear the president had lost?
There you
In
go.
that case, this raises sort of criminal questions
Satisfied?
about fraud and election fraud. Was it beforehand? Those are important
I know
questions
you-
about
I know
this
you're
sort
not
of
satisfied,
idea.
but-
But let's talk about those two members of Congress that came up today in the hearing. One, Representative
That's not
Andrew
a
Biggs
photo.
of Arizona. He is someone who did ask.
Well, I mean, if you want me to interpret it literally, like lots of people were photographed with guns, right? Like there's a person who shot Ashley Babbitt, and there was obviously lots of officers who had guns. What are you talking about?
We heard in testimony today.
That's not a photo. No,
State
I don't
speaker
have to produce photo. It's not the only way you produce evidence.
to try and change the results or overturn the results, bring in new electors, create
Well, if I interpret it literally, what do you want? Do you want it interpreted literally or just specifically how you want it interpreted? Because I don't know. You're looking specifically for a January 6th rider who was photographed on that day with a gun? Is that it? Like what?
electors. And then Senator Ron Johnson of
Okay, but
Wisconsin.
why?
The testimony today, and we saw this in text messages, was that
Who
on
asked?
January 6th itself, that one of his aides reached out to Vice President Pence's staff and said the senator wanted to hand him a slate of alternate electors on
slate
January
of
6th.
alternate
Ron Johnson's
electors.
office today says he didn't know about that ahead of time.
Oh, he
But
didn't
there is a
know.
real question if on January 6th itself, Ron Johnson was still trying to bring in a slate of electors that was not what his
Nice.
state
Part of the
decided.
plot.
Still some unanswered questions there. And Lisa, staying with you, so much of the focus today was on these state and local election officials. Tell us more about what we heard from this committee in terms of White House.
Dude, come on, read what you just posted. Just read it. Just read for yourself what you just posted.
House officials
Holy shit.
themselves pressuring local election people.
You don't see
In
the
particular,
problem?
two women from Fulton County. These are the two women who were seen in video moving absentee ballots late at night. The Trump campaign for months.
Yo, there's no quicker way for people to think you're an unhinged lunatic than to start randomly asking questions about random things that only you know about. You know, it's very clear to anyone watching that you just want to talk about things that you feel like you know stuff about because it makes you feel like, I guess, confident and control of the information. But unfortunately, most of us live in the world of, most of us live in the real world. And so I don't know what to say.
Said that those were secret suitcases of ballots. We know that's not true. It was regular election procedure. You heard from Shay Moss earlier. Her mother, Ruby Freeman, also testified about the barrage of threats that came emanating from her name being used by the Trump campaign, including people knocking on her door. At one point, the FBI saying
Whoa.
she had to move because the threats to her life and
Whoa.
property were so serious. Here's what she told the committee in recorded testimony this has meant and done to her.
Oh, c'est stupide.
There is nowhere I feel safe.
Stupid, eh?
Nowhere.
C'est stupide, là.
Do you know how it feels to have the President of the United States to target you?
Wild.
The President of the United States is supposed to represent every American, not to target one. But he
Yeah,
targeted
come on.
me, Lady Ruby,
Where's your patriotism?
a small business owner, a mother, a proud
You
American
believe what you are
citizen
told is the
who
official
stand
narrative
up
and nothing else.
to help Fulton County run an election in the middle of the pandemic.
Sure, man.
Judy, I want to show you some quick statistics. She represents thousands of
just get a
election
chip
workers across this country.
from Bill Gates once a
and look
week.
at what's happened since 2020. Election officials experiencing threats,
Goes
1
right
in
there.
6. And election officials who plan to quit by 2024, look at that, 1 in 5. So this is something that is not one person, that might have been an extreme version of it. Many election officials feeling
Yeah, for
personal
sure.
harm
Like, I don't know
and,
what's wrong with
professional harm
people
from
who
the last
stand Trump.
election.
Like, how do you see that and not be like,
those numbers
maybe
are
that's not
just
okay?
absolutely stunning. And finally, back to you, Laura. We did hear today, as we've reported, from the top 2 election officials in the state of Georgia, the Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, and also the official who
power of the
works
bully
with
pulpit.
him closely, Gabriel Sterling. We already knew about the phone call that President Trump had placed and spent over an hour pressuring Raffensperger.
What would Biden never do?
What else did we learn today about the pressure he put on them?
And
Yeah, there were 2
right-wingers
things that
make
stood out
Biden out
today,
to be so
Judy.
cool.
One, Sterling in his testimony said that the onslaught of disinformation and conspiracy theories pushed by President Trump, as he and his team tried to fight it, it was like, quote, shoveling out the ocean, trying to clear out the ocean with a shovel.
Good
and
metaphor.
then the second thing was the specificity of Raffensperger's testimony. He went into specific details about everything that he investigated, saying he investigated every element of the allegations that Trump's team brought to him.
Right, I remember that part. He was pretty clear.
They said that there was over 66,000 underage voters. We found that there was actually 0. They said that there was 2,423 non-registered voters. There was 0.
Oh,
They said that there was 2,056 felons. We identified less than 74 or less that were actually still in felony sentence. Every single allegation we checked, we ran down the rabbit trail to make sure that our numbers were accurate.
The problem that you have off time is
So
that you can live in your fantasy world and just write in chat, ha ha ha, you believe it. The problem is that if I say I don't believe it, I'm specifically saying that person's lying. Now, you, a chatter on the internet, have no understanding of what it's like to actually be in a serious place talking to serious people and saying, I am telling the truth. When you see that, specifically if you're someone's called before Congress, it's literally a crime to like lie to them. I know it's not really enforced, but like it's also a social crime. When you say, oh yeah, and you just eat that up, it's like, yeah, that man's obviously telling a very specific, articulate truth. These same people that lied us into the Iraq war, Brad Raffensperger lied people into the Iraq war. Are you insane? Are you insane?
Raffensperger, you mentioned, Judy.
What are you talking about?
Detailed all of the stuff.
Brad
about
Raffensperger
allegations
lied
that
people
Trump
into the
brought to
Iraq
him
war?
and how
What?
They were all false. He also talked about that phone
breaking
call that
news,
Trump
everybody.
made to him, pressuring him to find more
These
than 11,000
people have,
votes.
dude, you have an agenda. You have a really weird agenda. Like, go to your safe space. You clearly, like, don't feel comfortable having your views challenged.
Votes. Now, that phone call, a lot of election law experts think is enough to bring criminal charges against the president and his allies. Now, the committee today brought up the illegality of what we witnessed on January 6th and the lead up to it. And they kept saying over and over again that the Justice Department needs to be paying attention to what they are presenting. But it's not just the Justice Department that could bring criminal charges. The Fulton County DA in Georgia could very well bring charges herself against the president and against his allies. Right now, there is a grand jury investigation going on, which she is overseeing. And they also heard testimony from Raffensperger earlier this month. So that just speaks to the fact that it's not just the Justice Department, but that in Georgia, they could also bring charges against the president as we look forward to what potentially the ramifications.
Imagine if they actually do bring charges against Trump.
Right,
That's going
a
to be
very,
wild.
very full day of testimony. I want to thank you both, Laura Barone-Lopez.
I don't know how they don't, though.
Covering all
He
this
stole national
from
secrets.
the White House, Lisa Desjardins.
Nuclear
at the
secrets,
Capitol.
even?
Thank
Like,
you.
what? Come on.
In its 5th public hearing, the Congressional Committee investigating the January 6th Capitol attack detailed its findings of how former President Donald Trump pressured the Department of Justice to overturn the 2020 election results.
I guess the part I
Three
find
of
so
Mr. Trump's
amazing about interacting with like right-wingers is that like they're so cucked by the right-wing propaganda machine that they can't even summon up a tiny bit of patriotism and try to defend their nation from clearly bad actors. Instead, they're just so afraid of being challenged, of having their views critically analyzed, that they just huddle together like sheep when a storm is coming and just like, please, Mr. Fox, please lead us to the right place. You know, we can trust you. It's like, oh God, you guys are so pathetic, man. Like, come on, apply some amount of critical thought. Jesus.
Situation.
Congressman Adam Kinzinger, one of 2 Republicans serving on the committee, led the presentation today. In his opening remarks, he had a message for his party.
I want to take a moment now to speak directly to my fellow Republicans.
Yeah, there's
Imagine
another
the
right
country's
winger.
top prosecutor
Original
with the
thoughts are
power
hard,
to
though.
open investigations, subpoena, charge crimes, and seek imprisonment.
It's very rare to have an
Imagine
original
that
thought.
official pursuing the agenda of the other party instead of that of the American people as a whole.
That's right.
And if you're a Democrat, imagine it the other way around.
Truck, yeah, brother.
Today, President Trump's total disregard for the Constitution and his oath will be fully exposed.
As a Canadian, I'm so big into the American
Congressional
empire.
correspondent Lisa Desjardins and our White House correspondent Laura Barone-Lopez have been watching this hearing today, and they join me now.
I mean, most of
so
it's
Laura,
performative,
I'm going to
just
turn
to
to
be
you
super
first.
clear.
So much of this hearing today, most of it, was about the pressure that then President Trump placed on the Justice Department to try to get them to do what he wanted them to do, which was overturn the election. Tell us how that case that the committee was making, the facts they put forward, built the case that they were making.
We heard today from top officials within former President Trump's Justice Department about that pressure that you just mentioned, Judy, about the fact that he wanted them to declare the 2020 election corrupt. We learned that Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, asked the DOJ to investigate whether Italian military satellites were manipulating voting machines. And we also heard from Trump's acting Attorney General at the time, Rosen, and Rosen said that virtually every day between late December to early January, Trump was talking to him and calling him and trying to have conversations with him. And here's the litany of requests that Trump made to Rosen.
Uh-oh.
So the common element of all of
this was big.
Was the president expressing his dissatisfaction that the Justice Department, in his view, had not done enough to investigate election fraud.
His testimony was wild.
But at different junctures, other topics came up at different
that was a crazy day.
Intervals. So at one point, he had raised the question of having a special counsel for election fraud. At a number of points, he raised requests that I meet with his campaign counsel, Mr. Giuliani. At one point, he raised the whether the Justice Department would file a lawsuit in the Supreme Court. At a couple of junctures, there were questions about making public statements or about holding a press conference. One of the later junctures was this issue of sending a letter to state legislatures in Georgia or other states. And so there were different things raised at different parts of, or different intervals, with the common theme being his dissatisfaction
I don't even know where to start with that one.
About what the Justice Department had done to investigate election fraud.
Government's made of people.
The dissatisfaction didn't stop there. President Trump also pressed, in a December 27th conversation, he pressed Rosen's deputy, Donahue, to also investigate these allegations.
What, do you think fluoride in your water is bad because it comes from the government? Are you really that simplistic? Is that how dumb you are?
Them were credible. Donahue said no, they weren't.
Are you that
And
knee-jerk
Laura,
about
other
it?
than the former president himself, a central figure in all of this testimony today
Government
was Jeffrey
bad.
Clark, that lower level Justice Department official who was pushing the former President Trump's line about fraud in the election. Tell us what we learned more today about his role in all this.
Jeffrey Clark is a really fascinating figure here who was not present at the committee hearing at all today, and he is he's an environmental lawyer, and he then became the head of the civil division within the Justice Department around 2020. And he was key in trying to convince Trump to install him as the head of the Justice Department, because he told Trump that he would essentially be a yes man and was willing to do all the things that Trump was asking the Justice Department to do, and to replace Rosen with himself. Now, we heard about the big meeting that happened on January 3rd in the Oval Office with former President Trump, with his acting Attorney General Rosen, the deputies, as well as Jeffrey Clark. And in that meeting, Trump asked what would happen if he replaced Rosen with Clark. And here's what Donahue, the deputy AG at the time, said would happen.
Normal questions.
He said, so suppose I do this. So suppose I replace him.
Just a hypothetical.
Jeff Rosen with him, Jeff Clark. What would you do? And I said, Mr. President, I would resign immediately. I'm not working 1 minute for this guy, who I had just declared was completely incompetent.
Nice.
And so the president immediately turned to Mr. Engel, and he said, Steve, you wouldn't resign, would you? And he said, absolutely I would, Mr. President. You leave me no choice.
Nice.
Donahue went on to say that also hundreds of Department of Justice officials would go on to resign if Trump tried to install Jeffrey Clark atop the Justice Department. And one final important point about Clark here, Judy, is that he went before the committee in private deposition, and he pled the Fifth over and over again so as not to incriminate himself.
It appears he didn't answer any of the committee questions. Lisa, I want to turn to you now. We learned more today about the role in all of this of several members of Congress, didn't we?
True.
We heard a lot of accusations and witness testimony about roles of members of Congress, and this speaks to exactly what Laura was reporting about. How did someone who was lower level in the Justice Department, Jeffrey Clark, be poised to become Attorney General at this important moment? And in that, we heard testimony again from the former Deputy Attorney General, Richard Donahue. He had this fascinating bit, Judy, where he talked about a phone call he was on with President Trump. And during that phone call, Mr. Donahue took notes on a pad near his phone because he wanted to record all the allegations that the former president was making. And I want to show you a graphic of one of the things that he said the former President Trump told him. He told him that he was asked by the president, just say the election was corrupt and leave the rest to me and Republican congressmen. So therefore, President Trump is implicating in this evidence Republican
Is that not a smoking gun?
This idea of overturning the election, calling it corrupt, whether it was
smoking
or
pen?
not. We had a little bit more evidence about who he was talking about, at least in part, or who the committee believes is involved. Representative Scott Perry of Pennsylvania, Republican. He is also currently the leader of the House Freedom Caucus, known for its conservative values and for really trying to affect what happens on the floor of the House. I reached out to Representative Perry's office. We haven't heard back yet from him. But the idea was that Perry himself is the one who helped raise Jeffrey Clark as a potential to change the top of the Justice Department so that it could help President Trump. Here's an exchange that we heard today, Adam Kinzinger, the congressman, going through some of the text exchanges between Representative Perry and the then Chief of Staff to President Trump, Mark Meadows. Here's what he laid out.
Meadows responds with, I got it. I think I understand. Let me work on the deputy position. Representative Perry then texts, Roger, just sent you something on Signal. Just sent you an updated file. Did you call Jeff Clark? Mr. Donahue, Representative Perry called you the next day on December 27th. Who told him to call you?
My understanding is the president did at the outset of the call.
And so that's the idea that
the mechanics of a coup d'etat, man.
Getting involved in what this committee sees as plots. We are waiting to hear from these members of Congress specifically. One other thing we heard today that was very notable, this committee raised evidence testimony from those in the White House that said 6 members of Congress had asked for pardons specifically for themselves, and that another, Representative Jordan, had asked about whether pardons would be issued. Representative Jordan has issued a statement tonight saying that is absolutely not true. He called it 100% fake news. But we've asked these other representatives, Scott Perry, one of them, Mo Brooks, Louis Gohmert, Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Andy Biggs are the ones that the committee testimony today said asked for pardons for themselves in relation to the 2020 election and what they had said. Again, very serious accusations, especially from members of Congress against the other. So we're waiting to hear from their response.
And we heard former White House aides and advisors making some of those statements. Lisa Desjardins, Laura Barone-Lopez, thank you both.
Okay,
The Congressional Committee investigating the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol today held a quickly scheduled hearing. It's sixth this month to present what it called new and urgent evidence about what former President Donald Trump knew and said before, during, and after the insurrection. Cassidy Hutchinson, a former aide to White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, presented the most compelling and detailed account yet of the actions of the former president's inner circle. And she shared her own reaction as she watched the events of January 6th.
I remember feeling frustrated, disappointed, and really, it felt personal. It was really sad. As an American, I was disgusted. It was unpatriotic. It was un-American. We were watching the Capitol building get defaced over a lie.
Today was the first time Hutchinson publicly appeared before the committee, but she has spoken several other times behind closed doors. And in video from those depositions, Hutchinson explained that Trump knew some of the members of the crowd were armed with weapons because he grew frustrated about the Secret Service security procedures, specifically the metal detectors, making the crowd at his January 6th speech smaller than he wanted.
He wanted it full, and he was angry that we weren't letting people through the mags with weapons. I was in the vicinity of a conversation where I overheard the president say something to the effect of, I don't effing care that they have weapons. They're not here to hurt me. Take the effing mags away. Let my people in. They can march to the Capitol from here. Let the people in. Take the effing mags away.
Our congressional correspondent Lisa Desjardins and White House correspondent Laura Barone-Lopez have been following the hearings today. They both join me now. Laura, let me begin with you. Cassidy Hutchinson, not a name we were familiar with, but she was at the center of so much what was going on in the White House, certainly had a lot of access. How did she fill in the timeline of what took place?
That's right, Judy. So Cassidy Hutchinson has worked for Republicans for a very long time, and she was in daily contact with her boss, Mark Meadows, as well as a lot of other senior White House officials throughout her time in the White House and leading up to January 6th. She testified that on multiple occasions there were warnings and raised concerns about threats of violence on that day. She said that she overheard Rudy Giuliani, President Trump's lawyer, talking about Proud Boys and Oath Keepers being present at the events that day. And then she also gave very important testimony about an exchange that she had with Pat Cipollone, White House counsel to President Trump. And in that exchange, Cipollone told Hutchinson on January 3rd that he was really worried about legal concerns that the White House could face if President Trump decided to go to the Capitol on January 6th, making a movement that would be very logistically difficult. And he also warned her again on the morning of January 6th. Here's what Cipollone said to Hutchinson.
And we understand, Ms. Hutchinson, that you also spoke to Mr. Cipollone on the morning of the 6th as you were about to go to the rally on the Ellipse. And Mr. Cipollone said something to you like, make sure the movement to the Capitol does not happen. Is that correct?
That's correct. I saw Mr. Cipollone right before I walked out onto West Exec that morning, and Mr. Cipollone said something to the effect of, please make sure we don't go up to the Capitol, Cassidy. Keep in touch with me. We're going to get charged with every crime imaginable if we make that movement happen.
We're going
now,
to
that exchange that Hutchinson recalled was new. We had never heard that before. And also the specific crimes that Cipollone was talking about, he told Hutchinson that he thought that they could face obstruction of proceeding charges, as well as defrauding of electors charges. And still, despite all of those warnings, the president wanted to go to the Capitol and urged his staff to make it possible for him.
And Laura, Cassidy Hutchinson testified about how she traveled in the president's motorcade to the rally that was taking place on the morning of January 6th. And she also testified about the president's reaction when he learned that a number of the people at that rally or in that area were carrying weapons.
Yeah, that's right. As you mentioned earlier, Judy, the president was really upset that his supporters were not being allowed into where his speech was at, which is the Ellipse, which is right outside of the White House. And it was because that they had weapons, they had knives, they had other, very dangerous paraphernalia on them. And the president said, let them through. They aren't going to hurt me. And that he was pretty much dismissing threats of a violence.
Not gonna hurt me.
Now, after his speech at that Stop the Steal rally with his supporters, the president then went to go get into his motorcade, into the vehicle that we call the Beast. And when he got in with Robert Engel, who was his top Secret Service agent that day. And he was under the impression that he was going to be able to go from that speech to the Capitol along with his supporters. And when he was told by Robert Engel that he was not going to be able to do that due to resources, here's how the president reacted.
The president had very strong, a very angry response to that. Tony described him as being irate. The president said something to the effect of, "I'm the effing president, take me up to the Capitol now."
Oh, right, that
to which
line.
Bobby responded, "Sir, we have to go back to the West Wing."
I'm the effing president.
President reached up towards the front of the vehicle to grab at the steering wheel. Mr. Engel grabbed his arm, said, "Sir, you need to take your hand off the steering wheel. We're going back to the West Wing. We're not going to the Capitol." Mr. Trump then used his free hand to lunge towards Bobby Engel. And when Mr. Renato had recounted this story to me, he had motioned towards his clavicles.
Remember that part?
Hutchinson was told that exchange about that episode in The Beast by Anthony Ornato, who was then Deputy Chief of Staff to the president.
So good,
and
too.
she said that when she was told that when they returned to the White House, because again, she was in the motorcade with the president throughout the day when he went to the speech, when he came back to the White House from the speech. And she said that when she was told that Robert Engel was standing there in the room, again, that Secret Service agent with the president, and he did not refute anything that was said in that episode. And as the day went on, then rioters broke into the Capitol, which we all watched as they started to descend into the Senate. And Hutchinson said that at that point, she witnessed Pat Cipollone, White House counsel to the president, confront Mark Meadows, chief of staff, and that Cipollone was very concerned because we were starting to hear chants about hanging Vice President Mike Pence from the rioters that had descended on the Capitol. And here is what Cipollone said to Meadows.
I remember Pat saying something to the effect of, "Mark, we need to do something more. They're literally calling for the vice president to be effing hung."
I'm gonna get some food. I'll be right
And
back.
Mark had responded something to the effect of, "You heard him, Pat. He thinks Mike deserves it. He doesn't think they're doing anything wrong."
The big picture here, Judy, is that we've heard from Hutchinson's testimony time and again all of the warning signs and all of the concerns about what would happen on January 6th, and that the president appeared to be dismissing the threats of violence, not just to members of Congress, but also to his vice president.
And I'm going to have Lisa pick it up from here. Lisa, when it comes to the president's then chief of staff, Mark Meadows, we did learn more today about his role in all this.
That's right. A lot of names here, but central is Mark Meadows. And let's remind our viewers who we're talking about in his own history. Mark Meadows came to Congress as a member from North Carolina. And we can look at some of the associations in a graphic that we have here. There you go. Mark Meadows, he, in 2015, formed the Freedom Caucus with Congressman Jim Jordan. And then in 2020, he became the chief of staff to President Trump. Central figure, and what we heard described today in testimony, Judy, was a picture of a chief of staff who was not acting to the degree to which it almost seemed it was a passiveness that may have bordered on permissiveness of what was going on in the White House's Oval Office. On January 2nd in particular, Cassidy Hutchinson described a conversation with Rudy Giuliani. She was walking him out of the White House. He brought up plans for January 6th in a way that really got on her radar like never before. She walked back into the White House and she was asked today, did she then talk to Mark Meadows, her boss, about what she heard from Giuliani? Here's her response.
I went back up to our office and I found Mr. Meadows in his office on the couch. He was scrolling through his phone. I remember leaning against the doorway and saying, I had an interesting conversation with Rudy, Mark. Sounds like we're going to go to the Capitol. He didn't look up from his phone and said something to the effect of, there's a lot going on, Cass, but I don't know, things might get real bad on January 6th. That evening was the first moment that I remember feeling scared and nervous for what could happen on January 6th.
Fast forward to January 6th, and Hutchinson says her boss, Mark Meadows, was unresponsive to her pleas to pay attention to what was going on at the Capitol. He wasn't even really concerned about Jim Jordan when she first brought that issue up. And then she recounted this moment when White House counsel Pat Cipollone reached out to Meadows to try and get him to get the president more involved. Here's that conversation.
Do something, Commander-in-Chief.
The rioters have gotten to the Capitol, Mark. We need to go down and see the president now.
Oh.
And Mark looked up at him and said, he doesn't want to do anything, Pat. And Pat said something to the effect of, and very clearly had said this to Mark, something to the effect of, Mark, something needs to be done or people are going to die and the blood's going to be on your effing hands. This is getting out of control. I'm going down there.
Just extraordinary testimony. We also heard today that from Hutchinson that Meadows himself asked for a pardon. We, of course, reached out to Mr. Meadows' attorneys for a response to all of this. We have not heard back yet.
Lisa, there was literally one explosive disclosure after another. Anything else you would add that was noteworthy in the way of accusations, and how are the former president and the others around him responding to all this?
I will say some Republicans have reacted in texts with me, direct messages, with just a simple exclamation point. But it's important to point out that the president has, in fact, been responding today. Here are some of the quotes that he's put out on social media today. First, he said of Hutchinson, I hardly know who this person is. Of that limo anecdote, the idea that he reached out and assaulted a security aide, he said that's a fake story. And he also said there's no cross-examination for this so-called witnesses. This is a kangaroo court. And I should remind viewers, of course, that former President Trump in the past has disassociated himself, said he doesn't know people that we know he has been associated with in the past. So I want to add that piece of context. Now, overall, let's talk about all these accusations. Laura and I have presented a lot of reporting. It's easy to get lost in, but we wanted to summarize what we learned today overall. First, that President Trump knew about weapons here in Washington, D.C., and a chance for violence from the crowd as it was getting ready to go to the Capitol, and that he himself wanted to march into the Capitol with the crowd. The other accusation is that he assaulted the security chief sworn to protect him because he wanted to take over and get himself to the Capitol. And then another accusation, Judy, that's important, witness tampering. The committee said that they now have messages from Trump allies to witnesses saying that they are sure they will be loyal. That, of course, is also a potential federal crime. And I think with all of this, what we're seeing now is the committee kind of honing more and more evidence for criminal cases. That still remains in the hands of the Department of Justice, of course. And we also know more hearings are ahead. We don't know when.
That's right. They pointed to hearings upcoming, more information to be disclosed. Lisa Desjardins, Laura Barone-Lopez, we thank you both. The January 6th committee hearing this afternoon, the 7th public meeting, ended with a dramatic revelation. Vice Chair Liz Cheney said former President Trump recently called a witness the committee was talking to, an action the committee referred to the Department of Justice as potential witness tampering. Over the course of 3 hours, the committee also laid out in detail a series of events leading up to the insurrection on January 6th. That began weeks earlier in a mid-December White House meeting that one former aide called unhinged, as allies of then-President Trump repeated baseless claims about election fraud and urged action to overturn the results. Later that night, Mr. Trump sent a tweet that one committee member called a call to arms for his supporters. Big protest in D.C. on January 6th. Be there, will be wild, he wrote.
Wild, baby.
As the committee showed, supporters of the former president, including members of a far-right militia group, heeded his call. One person even predicted a red wedding. That's a pop culture reference to a massacre on January 6th. Jason Van Tatenhove, a former spokesman for the Oath Keepers, drew the connection and concern for the future.
If a president that's willing to try to instill and encourage, to whip up a civil war amongst his followers using lies and deceit and snake oil, and regardless of the human impact, what else is he going to do if he gets elected again? All bets are off at that point.
Representative Stephanie Murphy of Florida read from a text exchange between two Trump campaign advisors, including one-time campaign manager Brad Parscale, who, after the events of January 6th, blamed his former boss.
Mr. Parscale said, quote, "This is about Trump pushing for uncertainty in our country, a sitting president asking for civil war." And then when he said, "This week I feel guilty for helping him win," Katrina Pearson responded, "You did what you felt right at the time, and therefore it was right." Mr. Parscale added, "Yeah, but a woman is dead. And yeah, if I was Trump and I knew my rhetoric killed someone." When Ms. Pearson replied, "It wasn't the rhetoric," Mr. Parscale said, "Katrina, yes, it was."
And for more on what we learned from the hearing, I'm joined by our congressional correspondent, Lisa Desjardins, and White House correspondent, Laura Barone-Lopez. Good evening to both of you. Lisa, you were in the hearing room. Let's start by talking about that dramatic confrontation inside the White House. It was December 2020. It was all about whether and how to overturn the election. Tell us more.
We are now at the point, Judy, where the committee is going chronologically right up to January 6th. And this important moment happened in the middle of December after the Attorney General had already said there was no reason to believe there was fraud worth overturning the election, already had dismissed what the president, then Trump, had been saying. So let's take you inside who was in this meeting. 4 people in particular in this meeting were surprise guests to many of the staffers in the White House.
Yeah.
Rudy Giuliani, the president's personal
Snuck
attorney at
in.
different times. And there you also see 3 other people, including Michael Flynn, former security advisor, but then he did not have a position at the White House. There you also see all of the people there who were advising him. Sidney Powell included them, and then Patrick Byrne on the end, who is the CEO of Overstock.com. Those 4 people, the testimony today was that it wasn't clear they actually had been invited to the White House. They somehow at the last minute were able to get into the Oval Office. They all presented, the testimony today said, conspiracy theories that ran the gamut, pushing the president even to do things like declare martial law, to seize election machines, those kinds of things. Also coming into the Oval Office during this meeting then were actual White House staffers. There you see some of them who were involved. Eric Hirschman, the attorney, the staff secretary, Lyons. You see Mark Meadows, chief of staff in and out, and the president's White House counsel, Pat Cipollone. They were pushing back at the 4 others in what was described in an extensive montage of bites as a very hostile confrontation. Let's listen to how they played it out in the hearing today.
I opened the door.
Lawyers saved us.
I walked in. I saw General Flynn.
Pat Cipollone saved us.
Powell sitting there.
It's wild.
I was not happy to see the people in the Oval Office.
Was the meeting tense?
Oh, yeah. It was not a casual meeting.
Explain.
I mean, at times there were people shouting at each other, hurling insults at each other. It wasn't just sort of people sitting around on a couch, like chit-chatting.
Cipollone and Hirschman and whoever the other guy was showed nothing but
contempt and disdain of the president.
I think that it got to the point where the screaming was completely out there. I mean, you got people walk in, it was late at night, it had been a long day, and what they were proposing, I thought was nuts.
Big fan of Fetterman?
I'm going to categorically describe it as, you guys are not tough enough. Or maybe I put it another way, you're a bunch of excuse the expression, but that's
naughty boy.
I'm almost certain the word was used.
That was essentially a battle for the soul of the White House. As that hours-long meeting ran on and on, after it ended, Judy, around 1:42 in the morning, came the tweet that you talked about earlier tonight. That idea, the president asking for people to come to January 6th for a wild protest. That tweet was sent out right after that contentious meeting.
So good.
And Lisa, the committee is charging that the president did more than just send out that tweet about a wild protest. What more are they saying?
That's right. As you get closer to January 6th, here's some more of what the committee said. Steve Bannon, the president's advisor, longtime advisor, was on the phone with the president. They said White House call logs showed the morning of January 5th. Now, also on January 5th, I want to remind viewers what Steve Bannon said on his broadcast show. Listen to this quote.
Bannon said some stuff.
All hell is going to break loose tomorrow.
Oh, really?
It's all converging, and now we're
Is
on,
that
as
so?
they say, the point of attack, right? The point of attack tomorrow.
Point of what now?
I'll tell you this. It's not going to happen like you think it's going to happen. Okay? It's going to be quite extraordinarily different.
Uh-oh. Yeah, that's totally normal thing to say the day before an insurrection. Just super normal radio vibes, man. He's just like you or me. Okay, looks like we're inside the courtroom. I'm going to put this live, but we can just hang out while we wait, because it looks like we're only like a few minutes away. So yeah, how's it going, chat? What do you think so far? This is going to be the last big one for the midterm, so it might actually have some implications